Climbing too? Yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Hi everyone, it's Sebastian Ibiaga. Tonight's FC Dallas match is up next, right here on the FC Dallas app.
Well, they say you can never go home again. Tonight, Dallas captain and FC Cincinnati legend Lucho Acosta makes his return to his former home, the place he helped turn from a laughingstock of the league into the finest team in Major League Soccer in 2023. He'll be at the center of the action, firmly in the spotlight tonight at TQL Stadium as FC Dallas is on the road to face FC Cincinnati, closing out a grueling 3-match road stretch that started in New York, moved its way to Seattle, and ends in Ohio tonight. I'm Ryan Figert, joined on the call, as always, by our very own Steve Davis. And Steve, we are moments away from kickoff here. We were just talking about the mindset for the team going into this game. You feel like any kind of result could really move the needle for this team going forward?
Yeah, well, I feel like a good result could move the needle, but a good result, as you just pointed out, a good result with a Lucho Acosta goal, I think that would really provide an emotional lift for this team.
We get a look at it at TQL Stadium. Dallas in their huddle, just about to break and get set for kickoff. They're going to be wearing the Inferno kit, the light gray and red, and move from right to left in the first half. FC Cincinnati and their trademark orange and blue moving from left to right. FC Cincinnati unbeaten at home in 2025. This has been a fortress for them, one of the finest venues in Major League Soccer, and it's Dallas's first ever trip to play at FC Cincinnati and just the third ever meeting between the two clubs. Going to look at the referee here, Marcos de Oliveira, experienced official, over 100 games in the league. He'll be in charge of this one tonight. It should be a little bit extra emotional for one Lucho Acosta, wearing the armband for Dallas, which he did over 100 times for the club he faces for the first time since leaving tonight.
You know, it's got to be a little bit extra motivation and a little bit of extra emotion for Evander as well, because he knows what Lucho Acosta did for this club. He knows that Lucho Acosta won a league MVP with this club, and I think he wants to continue to show that the club made the right choice and sort of maneuvering things so that they could basically swap Acosta for Evander.
Well, those two will be in the spotlight tonight as we are underway at TQL Stadium. Acosta drops it off to Martin Paz, who will launch it long to begin proceedings in Cincinnati. Up towards Musa, who wins the first header, flicked along and retrieved by Anderson Julio. Early cross spinning towards Musa, who's continued his run into the box here. But he's whistled for a free kick, a little shove in the back there against Miles Robinson. Positive opening 20 seconds there for Dallas.
Yeah, it was. I think maybe he clipped his heel a little bit is what I thought I saw in there. But yeah, Musa winning that initial header. Anderson Julio playing the ball in aggressively. Right in behind, trying to get in behind Miles Robinson. Unfortunately, Robinson's pretty quick on the turn.
Two changes along the back line for Cincinnati from their 4-2 loss at Atlanta, and that one of those enforced by an injury to Nick Hagland. Alvis Powell is in there, as is Gilberto Flores, with Miles Robinson, who's in the middle of the back three. And they move it across that back line here, and now it's Lucho Acosta whistled for a foul against his former teammate, and Alvis Powell.
Acosta giving Alvis Powell a pretty quick little helping hand up there.
Ball switching out to the near side for DeAndre Yedlin. And as the right wing back, loose touch there from Powell. He gives it away to Acosta and he drags him down. There's an early booking for Alvis Powell and a pretty easy decision for the referee, Marcos de Oliveira.
I mean, Alvis Powell wanted to make doggone sure, didn't he? He not only grabbed him, but he sort of swiped him from down below too. Alvis Powell with a bad giveaway.
Yeah, that was.
He got him high and low, didn't he?
Made sure Acosta wasn't able to advance the ball. If anyone knows what Acosta can do in the transition, it would be Alvis Powell, one of two players left from the inaugural season in MLS for FC Cincinnati.
And Alvis Powell's 30 years old now, and he's got a yellow card, so that look for that as a place Dallas can maybe attack, especially as DeAndre Yedlin, the wingback on that side, is going to want to get forward.
Acosta lifting it into the box, header back across in towards Sebastian Ibiaga's head of the way. Shackamore got too much air underneath that one, and we'll see if it goes for a goal kick or a throw. It'll be a throw right near the corner flag, and that means Dallas will try and put the pressure on here.
Well, you want to see Dallas be really good on set pieces tonight because they've only got one set piece goal this year. And I just said that Cincinnati may be a little vulnerable, especially as they're missing a couple of their frontline defenders right now.
Dallas won it back off the Cincinnati throw. Anderson Julio retrieves possession for Dallas. Played just a half in Seattle before he was removed for Bernard Kamungo at the break. Urguide diagonal looking for Kamungo. Too much air underneath that one. It'll sail out of play.
Yeah, he hit that one a little too high and behind Kamungo. Kamungo's got to be really aware over there because, as I said, DeAndre Yedlin on his side is going to try to get forward quite a bit.
Kamungo's got 2 goals on the season, both of them in the Open Cup, looking for his first MLS goal since 2023. Seen some positive signs from him of late. Goal and an assist in New York in the Open Cup, primary amongst those. Possession along the back line here for Cincinnati. Swung over to Alvis Powell, bring it up the near side, now closed down by Musa. Powell checks back, finds Buka. Cincinnati again now moving it from right to left across the back line. Flores out to Oriano, almost said Barreal, who Oriano replaced, and now Oriano up the dribble, tripped himself up there, and Shaq Moore said thank you very much, took the ball and launched it down the field towards Musa.
Oriano's been playing on the right for them, but I think he's better over on the left where he is tonight. So Shaq Moore got his hands full out there.
Undoubtedly man of the match last season when these two teams met at Toyota Stadium. Scored the lone goal, but also rocked the crossbar with a terrific shot.
And he had such a good chemistry last year with Acosta.
There's Kamungo scampering up the near side, just lost his footing and thought he was pretty clearly shielded off the field by Powell.
But that's where I'm going if I'm Dallas, right there. Bernard Kamungo on that speed against Alvis Powell. Not the fastest guy and carrying a yellow card.
Powell on the ball here, just going to lift this one ahead towards Sergio Santos. Don't think we've seen a touch from Kevin Denke in the opening 5 minutes here. His strike partner tonight, Kaique to Ibiaga, back to Paz. We'll go long. Julio battling there with Flores. Flores gets a foot on the ball, but Cincinnati can't keep it in play. Both of these teams coming off of season highs in shots in their last match. Both teams losing in their last match. Interestingly enough, Cincinnati putting up 27 shots, a club record, in a 4-2 loss at Atlanta. Loose touch there in the midfield from Kamungo, looking for Acosta, turned over, but of course Urguide helping Dallas get back on it. Quick combination through midfield. Acosta now looking for Kamungo, who had turned his back on the play there.
Yeah, Bernie in the middle just isn't quite as effective as he is when he's on the outside.
Right now it's Musa taking his spot on the left, and Kamungo in there alongside Acosta centrally, just in the run of play here. So we play scoreless in the 5th minute. TQL Stadium. Julio going to go chasing all the way to Celentano. Celentano, good composure there under a sliding tackle from Anderson Julio. Now Cincinnati moving it through midfield. Wobodo finds Buka. Buka poked out towards Powell. Deflects off Musa. Still breaks for the Jamaican. Now DeAndre Yedlin sees 2 defenders. Finds Buka. Buka centrally gets the shot away low towards the back post. And Martin Paz makes a strong first save.
That's one of those times when Dallas presses, and once they get beaten on the press, you know, it's just too easy to play through the midfield against them. And I'm just not sure how much they really want to be pressing tonight.
First save for Martin Paz. We should mention All-Star voting is open now. Martin Paz, one of 2 Dallas All-Stars last year. MLSsoccer.com/vote. You can go throw in 11 of all FC Dallas players and help out the cause. Ramiro driving it up the near side. Finds Farfan. Dropped off for Bernie Kamungo. Kamungo lifts it forward, looking for Musa. I think it was deflected on its way towards him. Now fight for the second ball, and Farfan late to it. He's given a yellow card here. Quickly out of the pocket of Marcos de Oliveira. Buka down, holding the back of his head.
We'll have to see it again. I don't think there was much there.
I don't even know how much contact there was.
I'm not sure either. If that's a yellow card, okay, but there's going to be a lot of yellow cards tonight if that's the way de Oliveira is calling it.
I think it's sometimes the referee gave an early yellow card to Cincinnati.
100%.
Gave one now to Farfan for something that in normal circumstances wouldn't be.
It's just
and now we won't see a yellow card for a long time. That's usually how these things go.
Elvis Powell's was so obvious, and that one from Farfan, he went up, and there's a little bit of contact from behind, and that's about it.
Well, now both players on this, both fullbacks on this near side for either side, going to have to be careful as Kamungo able to keep it in play enough to swing across towards Julio, top of the box, up in the air. Nobody's really sure where it is. Eventually, Flores finds it. Now breaks for Acosta in the middle of the field. 3 Cincinnati players immediately swarming him, and he turns over possession to Kevin Denke, who now gets involved for the first time here in the 8th minute. Out to Oriano, down the line for Santos. Back to Luke Oriano. Closed down by Ebiaga, out wide on the far side, lifted cross in. Uragide wins the header. And it's out of play.
So that's one of those transition moments, Ryan, that I said Dallas just has to be better. I counted as it got into the attacking third. It was 6v6. And that's not good. I mean, you can't have 4 guys just sort of taking the play off.
Oriano, who's a versatile player, really a winger, and they've not really got a winger spot in their team, so he plays wing back and striker sometimes.
Very good as a wing back last year, as much as they have the ball.
There's Powell now, wrong side of Kaique, pokes it wide for Yedlin, lifting it in, a lot of air underneath this cross, and Julio's going to put it behind for a corner.
Now, a little confused there as that ball was cycled out to the right side into Yedlin. Nobody went out there after him. Farfan was back defending. Bernie Kamunga was back defending. Somebody's got to step out on him. They're lucky he didn't hit a better cross.
Man who can hit pretty good crosses, Evander from a set piece. He stands over this one in the 10th minute. And Swinger from the far side. Dipping right into the danger area. It comes off the head of a Cincinnati player, off target. It was Robinson.
And Miles Robinson, he's working against Shaq Moore and Uragide there, and sort of wins the battle. They had him sandwiched. He just they had enough of a body on him that he wasn't able to direct that header into that back post. But warning signs there for Dallas.
Robinson can definitely score goals in those situations, including a winner in the Gold Cup final a couple years ago for the U.S. And he's involved once again this summer in the Gold Cup, at least in the preliminary roster. Martin Pass goes long, chested down by Musa on the halfway line. Now Shaq Moore ahead to Julio, who will give chase here, but this one's going to be shielded out by Robinson.
And not a bad start for FC Dallas. 10 minutes in. Game's been about even, I would say.
Not much from either number 10 so far. Definitely be in the spotlight tonight. Oh, there's just a loose giveaway from Flores, who received it under no pressure and just took a heavy touch right out of bounds. Now a set piece, or at least a throw in that could be a set piece in the attacking third here, but Dallas will go short into Lucho, back to Shaq Moore, working it up the right side. Heavy touch, and that one's going to run out over the byline behind for a goal kick.
Well, that's why Dallas has an opportunity here, because look, between Matt Miazga, who's getting a little rest tonight, may see him later, and Nick Haglund, those are 2 of the top 3 defenders on the team. So there's a rotation there, 2/3 rotation in the back line. Gilberto Flores is one of the least used. Really same with Elvis Powell. So opportunity there for Dallas to exploit a rotated back line.
Shaq Moore winning a header as Powell went long with the diagonal. Julio gets to the ball first. Now finds Ramiro, back to Julio. Space for him up the far side. Another 1-2 here with Ramiro, who returns it to him inside the 18. Pass just off the mark, intercepted by Robinson, who quickly finds Evander. Evander out to Yedlin, who will bring it into the attacking half. Down the line for Santos. Santos hits the switching ball out to Oriana. A lot of space for the Argentine here. Shaq Moore now out to meet him. Corner of the 18. Step overs one way, goes the other. Down the line, low cross, blocked away. Shaq Moore's clearance goes right to Buka, who gets the shot blocked by Kaique. And now Wobodo from distance. And Martin Potts gave it a dive, but that one's wide.
Yeah, Wobodo at about 24 yards there. Didn't hit it as cleanly as he wanted. I think Martin Paz had it covered, but Ryan, there's another transition moment where Dallas just has to match Orellano as he gets up the field. You know, Anderson Julio's just got to get on his horse and get back a little bit quicker.
Second shot from the midfielders of Cincinnati. Nothing really to trouble Martin Paz so far as we played 12 minutes. Pass goes long towards Musa. Header won there by Powell. Big leap from the former Portland Timber. Possession in the defensive half for Cincinnati. Moving from left to right here in the first half. Powell, ball down the line to the feet of Santos. Uriguide battles it away from him. Ka'ike trying to get turned, didn't see Buka there. Now an early ball swung in by Yedlin. Flicked up into the air by Ibeagha. And Santos goes down, never going to get a free kick for that. Good composure from Uriguide to dribble away and find Kamungo. Into the feet of Musa. Musa sees space for Julio on the far side. Good ball, good weight on it. Julio retrieves it now into the 18 along the right side. And the recovery run there from Flores is a good one. He puts it behind for a corner.
Yeah, it was good from Flores, but you know what got all that going was a little flare move in the back there from Uriguide. He's so good there. He just sort of dances around DeAndre Yedlin, pushes the ball out to Bernie Kamungo, and they're off and running. It's a really good switching ball from Peter Musa that sets Anderson Julio off running on the right side.
That'll be the first corner of the game. Acosta getting mixed reviews from the fans down in the corner.
Well, I feel like, you know, mostly Acosta, when he left Cincinnati, I think he maybe had a little problem with upper management with the organization, but I thought he always had a pretty good relationship with certainly with his team as captain and with the fans.
Well, Sabu's ringing down as he takes the corner short here to Ramiro. Gets it back now. Now sees two defenders. He's going to lift it in off the left foot, and nothing really came of it there. Dallas will recover the loose ball with Ramiro, but only for a moment. Now Evander puts it out into the space, and it's Sergio Santos at full tilt. Marco Farfan with a yellow card has to be careful. Santos again switching to play out to the far side. Ramiro wins the header, breaks for Dinky. And Dinky now 25 yards from goal centrally, takes the shot, deflected up into the air. Paz thought about coming for it, but it's off of Santos last, and it's going to be a goal kick. And nothing about that went well for Dallas from their own attacking corner.
No, I didn't, but on the other end, good job there, Marco Farfan, of sort of dealing with that situation with Sergio Santos, putting enough of a body on him, but not drawing a foul there, and just not making things comfortable as Santos tried to bring a ball down. It ends up as a simple goal kick. But yeah, you're right, sort of overcomplicating things a little bit on that corner kick on the attacking end.
Dallas goes short from the goal kick. Martin Paz with the ball at his feet, inviting Cincinnati players forward. Now goes long towards Musa, bounces over his head to Julio. Julio goes down, nothing given. And possession turned over to Cincinnati. Acosta over 150 games for Cincinnati, over 100 goal contributions in all competitions. 2023 was really the year for him and the club. League MVP, Supporters Shield. To your point, didn't really end well in terms of his relationship with the front office, but he's issued multiple statements talking about his love and appreciation for the fans and the club. Powell gets a free kick here, courtesy of Bernard Kamungo in the Cincinnati half.
Yeah, Matt Miazga that year, Defender of the Year in the league. So a lot of things going
Pat
right.
Noonan, Coach of the Year.
That's right.
If you get that trifecta, I don't think anyone's done that without at least winning the Supporters Shield. Possession for Cincinnati and Powell, who's seen a lot of the ball here in the opening 16 minutes. Now time on it for Robinson. Dallas sitting right on the halfway line, inviting Cincinnati forward.
Ramiro paying a lot of attention to Evander, sort of even at the expense of the team shape there.
Well, here's Evander on it into the attacking third. Cuts back. Quick exchange of passes with Wobodo.
But clearly they want to make sure that somebody besides Evander beats them.
There's a ball through the lines. Buka got a touch to it but couldn't control it. Now Farfan into Ka'ike up the left side for Kamungo. Kamungo can't find a way around Pavel Buka. Runs that one right out of play. Robinson into Wobodo, out to Yedlin here on the near side. Finds Pavel Buka, the Czech midfielder. A lot of possession along the back line and midfield too for Cincinnati here. 18 minutes in. Julio going to go pressing against Flores, who's already made a couple of mistakes on the ball. Clean enough that time, and now there's space where Julio's vacated. Out to Evander along the left side. Oriano wider as an option, finds Dinky in the center. Urquide, important touch there to poke it away.
That's a really clever little first touch there from Dinky, but Urquide was able to recover his feet quickly enough and just poke that ball away.
Now it's Lucho Acosta's turn to pass one right out of bounds to some ironic cheers from the Cincinnati fans. Now Acosta goes pressing up towards Powell. Powell into midfield for Wobodo, who's got as much time as he really wants in midfield right now. Out to Evander. Spread out to Oriano, who'll bring it forward up the far side. Finds Evander centrally into the feet of Dinky. Dinky looking to get turns. Good defending there from Kaique. Poked it away, and then Musa back helping out, wins a free kick.
Now, I'm always impressed by Peter Musa's desire to get back and help in defending. I feel like sometimes among the front 3 or 4, he's always the highest position, or he should be, but sometimes he's the first one to get back and try to help defend.
Well, the best way to experience FC Dallas soccer is with a season ticket membership, which has a host of benefits that make this the best option in sports, including a complimentary MLS season pass subscription, discounts on concessions at Toyota Stadium, and much more. You can find the membership that's perfect for you at fcdallas.com/memberships. Dallas trying to work it up the far side. Shaq Moore goes to ground, nothing given there. And now Acosta commits a foul on his old running mate, Luke Oriano, in the center circle.
Yeah, Dallas really felt like Shaq Moore had been fouled back there. That's exactly what Acosta said as he fouled Oriano. Just sloppy giveaway there in the midfield. Too many of those so far for Dallas.
Yeah, since he had turned it over from their own free kick, and Dallas couldn't take advantage as Julio couldn't find a teammate. Once again, time on the ball for Miles Robinson. Out to Flores, who's an off-season addition, a U22 signing. Paraguayan. Going long here towards Dinky, out off of Ibiaga for a throw. And the attacking third here for Cincinnati. Shaq Moore defending against Santos, up into the air. Deflected last touch off the home side. Will be a Dallas throw.
Right now, Cincinnati with the only 5 shots in the match, but nothing so far to really trouble Martin Paz.
Shaq Moore looking for options here with the throw. Gonna put some man underneath this one up towards Musa. Musa challenging for it, bounces past him. Acosta wins the header out in front of Anderson Julio. Tried to go for the first time cross, but Wobodo picks his pocket. Something he does so well. Always up there in terms of tackles and recoveries in Major League Soccer. He led the entire league in tackles in 2023 when we're talking about the superlatives that team put together for Cincinnati. Evander out to Powell. Since he controlling the run of play in the opening 22 minutes, as you'd expect in the fortress that is TQL Stadium.
Yeah, Dallas hasn't really been a possession team this year, so that's not a surprise at all.
Flores again closed down quickly by Julio. Julio stepped on his foot here. Maybe lucky to get away without a card.
You feel like passes over to Flores is one of Dallas's pressing triggers. Maybe the only real solid one so far. Because every time he gets it, Julio's making a beeline for him.
Made a couple of mistakes already in the opening 20 minutes. Eighth start of the year for the young Paraguayan center back. Powell, ball forward for Santos, shrugged off there by Urquide, and breaks for Kaique. Quick 1-2 with Ramiro. And then Lucho. Now Kaique drives it up the left side, off the outside of the right foot, sees space for Anderson. Julio is a decent weight on the pass, and it's forced Flores to put it behind for a corner.
That's a nice little outside of the foot pass there. Saw it was bothering Flores. He didn't look totally comfortable as he sort of skied that one out for a corner kick. He knew he had not just one but two runners in behind him.
Dallas without a corner kick goal on the season. Their one set piece goal was a wide free kick in
Almost
Miami.
almost a corner kick.
Basically a corner kick. I'm sure they were running a very similar. Acosta again hearing the boos. Raises the left arm. And now sends the ball into the box. Right into the danger area. Good one. Right on top of the 6-yard box. Headed away by Robinson. Still not cleared. Now Marco Farfan shot blocked up into the air and headed away by Dinke. Maybe the best service of the season from a corner for Lucho Acosta, but Dallas just didn't have the runner to meet it there.
Yeah, Robinson was alone to head that one away, but you're right, it was a good service. You know, dead balls and scoring out those are about good service and then just winning your battle from there.
Flores out wide to Oriano. He's got two Dallas defenders around him. Goes back to Flores. Julio closing him down. Into midfield, Buca. Acosta trying to challenge, loses his footing there.
So again, they're trying to press Flores, but you know, once you press him, it's not just the one guy pressing. Everybody else has to make sure they're occupying passing lanes or finding a marker. So that time it was just too easy for Flores to work his way out of it.
There's another mistake, this time from Powell, passing it right out of bounds. I wouldn't mind seeing them put that same level of pressure on Alvis Powell with the start he's had.
And carrying a yellow card, so he knows that if he messes up, he's really in trouble because he can't foul to recover.
Kike fouled in midfield by Buca. Quickly restarts play to Farfan. Finds the feet of Lucho Acosta. Now Shaq Moore bringing it forward up the right side. Finds a pass wide for Anderson Julio. Early cross swung in towards Musa, and Kamungo headed away by Powell. And Farfan, good counter pressing there, wins it back off of Evander. Ball forward for Kamungo, laid off for Farfan, finds Lucho Acosta through the legs of Buca. Kamungo trying to get it back to him, unable to do so. And now Cincy will go on the counter. Dinke with Santos making a lung-busting run through the middle. And it is Santos along the left channel, looking for the early cross towards Evander, who was waiting at the back post. But is blocked out of play. Let's see if it spun for a corner or a throw.
Yeah, it's a throw, and Uriguide had that red all the way. He did a really good job of following the run from Santos, taking up a good position, really turned that into pretty much a nothing burger.
Cincy going backwards from the throw, switching it from far side to near. Powell finds Yedlin.
At 25 minutes, 67% of the possession going to Cincinnati, but really the only quality scoring chance they've had, I feel like, was Miles Robinson at the far post on that corner kick.
Averaging just over 50% on the year. They're not really a possession team.
Well, they're a team that gets forward pretty aggressively, pretty quickly, as we've seen in a couple of transition moments tonight.
Yedlin trying to go early for Dinke. Physical battle there between Uriguide and Dinke. This time Uriguide got positioning, got it back to Martin Paz. Launching it long, header won by Powell. Kike shielding in the middle and thrown to the ground there by Buca, who commits the foul.
Second time Buca's kind of ragdolled Kike just in the last 5 minutes.
Kike thinking about taking it here. I think he's going to leave it for Uriguide and march Dallas up the field. This free kick 20 yards into the defensive half. Uriguide goes short to Farfan. Kike, first time ball out to Kamungo. Bounces back off of Powell and to Kamungo. He can't find Ramiro in the middle. Shaq Moore, good pressing there on Evander. Wins it back for Dallas. Now Musa finds Julio. Julio into the 18 along the right side. Cuts it back for Musa. Doesn't get much behind the shot. Drags it wide. First shot of the evening for Dallas here in the 27th minute. Second time in a row they've done well against Evander, just to immediately win it back from the number 10. It's really not a good ball back from Julio for Musa to deal with. It was sort of bouncing towards the shin guards of the Croatian.
Yeah, I couldn't see who it was that had the tackle right there in the middle.
It was Moore, I think.
Yeah, so really good job there. A couple of times now, those FC Dallas outside backs have got forward on that counter press and been able to turn a lost possession into another quick possession going the other way.
Flores closed down here by Julio. Doesn't really see many options. Gives it away to Ramiro. Julio back to Lucho. Lucho centrally top of the 18. Finds Kamungo. Kamungo trying to get turned. He loses out to Yedlin on the retreat.
Well, the passing in the attacking end just not that sharp right now. That pass was behind Kamungo. You mentioned a minute ago that it was a bouncy ball. It was played back to Musa from Anderson Julio.
Now Evander can be so incisive in those same moments at the other end. Dropped off to Wobodo. Dallas getting numbers back now. Time on the ball along the back three. Dallas sitting in here. Robinson, nice line breaking ball, finds Wobodo. Out to Yedlin. Yedlin bringing it forward up the right side. Heavy first touch. Farfan shields it away from him. Really good work there from Dallas's left back, who's back to what looks like his best after returning from surgery. He missed 6 weeks earlier in the season.
Lucho Acosta tried to play Anderson Julio in early from Whale back. That time it just couldn't squeeze it through the center backs.
Now Denke bringing it forward up the right side. Faces up Kayike. Now checks it back for Buka. Wobodo centrally 35 yards out to Oriano. Oriano sizes up Shakmore here. Oriano towards the byline, lifts the cross in towards the back post over the head of Kayike. Here's Buka, and it's off of Ibiaga and into the net. Dallas had one last chance to clear it away. Ibiaga unable to do so, and Pavel Buka has his first goal of the MLS season to open the scoring.
Now Dallas a little casual in their defending, really all over there. And there's just too many players in blue, had too much time and space. Starting on the right, going back to the left. Dallas just casual and getting out to challenge those, and they just paid the price for it. And I told you a minute ago that DeAndre Yedlin had a lot of room over there on the right side to cross the ball, and sort of happened again here, where Kayike is close to him, but he's sort of alone by himself out there on the backside, and he's able to push the ball right back across, and nobody's around Pavel Buka. Everybody just ball watching a little bit. Buka isn't going to miss from about 10 yards.
Right on the half-hour mark, Cincinnati into the lead. It's given as an Ibiaga own goal. I think that'll be overturned. Looked like it was on target to me.
I sure thought so. I thought Ibiaga might have even been inside the goal as he tried to clear that one out.
And now Dallas will have to respond. They've grabbed 7 points from losing positions on the road this season. The concerning trend is that they've now conceded first in 11 out of 15 games in Major League Soccer. It's a good ball forward from Shakmore into Kamungo in the middle. Quickly closed down by Yedlin. Kamungo gets past a couple of defenders. Runs into Wobodo, pokes it out of play.
But the other thing you could have said before the goal is right now Dallas has nothing really to threaten Celentano. And that's okay when you're 0-0, but now you're down.
Musa helping the team progress the ball here. Lucho Acosta, quick 1-2 with Julio. Back to Acosta looking for Musa. Defended there by Powell. And now a ball for Santos to chase Dinky, waiting at the back post. Urquide in retreat. Santos now bearing down on goal. Goes high towards the near post and misses everything. Urquide a little bit slow to get back up here as he collided with Martin Paz. I think Santos will want this one back, though.
I mean, Urquide was really pressuring him from behind. Urquide and Paz ended up sort of twisted up pretzel-like there. I mean, there's enough players in the box for Dallas, but Pavel Buka is just wide open there. Just everybody ball watching. Just getting another look at the replay on that goal. It's going to turn into a corner kick for Cincinnati.
Wonder if it was Urquide who deflected the shot. It looked like Santos just blazed it over the bar on first viewing. It will be a corner in the 33rd minute. Oriano will take it off his left foot from the near side. They'll make an in-swinger.
Yeah, they like their in-swingers. It's always Oriano from the left and Evander from the right. I'm sorry, the other way around.
Oriano into the 6-yard box. First off the head of a Dallas player. Second ball not cleared. Now Farfan off the line, helped further away by Lucho. And now Kayike to Lucho ahead of Kamungo, who will give chase here. Yedlin's got a beat on it and gets there first, helping it back to Roman Celentano.
I don't think Bernie Kamungo anticipated that's what Acosta wanted to do, but either way, I don't think Acosta hit that quite hard enough.
I think somebody may have stayed down here. Oh, this is a big concern.
It really is, because it's Urguide that's down.
In the center circle, and you wonder if there's a muscle concern here for him, as he clearly had played on from the corner, but now down in the middle of the field, and he's the one man who's played every single minute for this FC Dallas team.
It almost looked like as he was chasing down Sergio Santos, he sort of slowed down as he got about 20 yards out. It looks like they're sort of stretching the calf or hamstring. I can't really tell. But you really don't want to mess around with this at all, because in some ways, Ryan, I feel like Urguide is really sort of, he's the cornerstone. Well, he is definitely the cornerstone, but sometimes, you know, you feel like Urguide is the glue holding the whole thing together back there.
They're showing us a replay of that Santos chance once again. Abubakar is warming up.
5 for 3.
And you hear 5 for 3. That means Abubakar is coming into this game. And that spells real concern for Dallas, who are just about back to full strength, and the injury list was shortened down to just Leo Chu, excluding the season-ending injuries.
Well, you know, it's funny because I think we all came into the season sort of wondering about the depth along the back line for Dallas, and just lately I've sort of felt okay about it, because Abubakar has looked really good when he's come in, so they have 3 good center backs. Nolan Norris looked fine as he came in as a replacement at left back, so now you say, okay, well, you got 3 good outside backs, but you always sort of felt like all along that one injury, particularly if it's to Urguide, would really sort of change the picture of that, the depth picture. And, you know, you hate to see him leave this match in the 36th minute, but boy, if I'm Dallas, I really do take the cautious approach, because they cannot afford to lose that guy for an extended period.
Well, Abubakar has looked good alongside Urguide. Ibiaga as well in moments has looked good alongside Osazi, but now they're gonna have to play together for the first time in Major League Soccer.
And that's the thing, you feel like Urguide has definitely made Ibiaga a better player, or when he plays next to Abubakar, I think he makes Abubakar a better player. He's getting a little hug on the sideline there from Michel, so you really hope this is just sort of precautionary. Wasn't walking with much of a limp, was he?
No, it almost looked like a cramp the way they were treating it, but obviously maybe taking the cautious approach.
Which again, I don't mind.
Kayike to Marco Farfan down the line for Kamungo, trying to get turned on Powell. Powell touches it out for a throw.
I mean, you don't feel like Dallas has really exploited the early Powell yellow card. I mean, from Dallas, I'm just finding ways to get Bernie running in behind him from that side every single time.
Ibiaga to Abubakar, gets it out to Marco Farfan under pressure from Santos. Cincy putting the pressure on here against Farfan, and Santos got a toe on the ball, and now Farfan is called for a foul, who's sort of inexplicably already been booked in this game.
Dallas has to be really careful here, because you're right, Farfan carrying that yellow card there with losing the ball and then fouling immediately, and now they just lost their best defender. I mean, this could spin out of control really quickly if Dallas isn't careful.
Cincinnati lost Nick Hagland to a first half injury in Atlanta, and that spiraled to a 4-goal conceded and a 4-2 defeat. And they've got Miles Robinson next to him. And Matt Miazga.
And Matt Miazga, yeah.
Former Defender of the Year. Oriano on the halfway line, turns Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore bites back in, Pokes it out of play. Cincy leading 1-0 here in the 38th minute. Goal scored by Pavel Buka.
I just looking at the stats here, Evander 100% pass completion, but he really hasn't been a factor so far. I think Ramiro and Kaique doing a pretty good job of tracking him.
Moves up ball forward to Lucho, who's furthest player forward, and he's tripped up there sort of cynically by Wobodo, who's going to manage to avoid a yellow card here. Dallas closing out a 3-game road stretch tonight. They're back home on Saturday, May 31st to host the Philadelphia Union. For tickets and more information, please visit fcdallas.tickets.com. Dallas playing through the feet of Musa there, but then Kaique has it poked away by Santos. Referee plays advantage.
And just too many times tonight, Dallas losing the ball cheaply right in the middle of the field. Anderson Julio once, Kamungo once or twice, Kaique a couple of times.
Celentano on the ball for Cincinnati. He's going to go long. No pressure on Marco Farfan as he brings it down. Gets it back to Abubakar. Into the middle for Kaique. Ramiro helping out. Farfan down the line for Kamungo, who can turn. Not any pressure on him here. Turns back and finds Ramiro. Ramiro into Shaq Moore in the center circle, who's got some space. Now wide with Anderson Julio. Shaq Moore goes beyond him. Return to Shaq Moore into the 18 along the right side. Cutback ball looking for Lucho. Intercepted there by Wobodo. And now Oriano can dribble clear. Gets past a couple of Dallas defenders. And now finds the feet of Santos. So Abubakar goes sliding in. Good first action for him defensively. Julio goes on the dribble. And then lost his footing and deemed to have committed the foul. And he's beside himself there with Marcos de Oliveira, tonight's referee. Getting a look at that chance from Shaq Moore. Right idea to cut it back towards Acosta, but like pretty much everything in the attacking third tonight for Dallas, off by a yard to the right, a yard to the left.
Yeah, you know, we're going to talk about it at halftime, Ryan, but I'm going to use a word here that you can hear me use, I think, a couple of times at halftime: precision. Precision in the final third, because it just hasn't been there tonight.
And oh joy, we're getting a stat on our screen right now that Cincy is unbeaten in 9 games in which they've scored first this season, 8 wins and a draw. Wobodo finds Evander. Evander through the lines. Dinky in behind, goes down, penalty. Martin Paz came out off his line and made the contact. I think it was pretty clear that Dinky only really wanted the penalty out of the situation. We'll just have to see how much contact there really was.
As good as Martin Paz has been in his time in Dallas, this is where he gets himself in a little bit of trouble. He gets off the line aggressively, but he doesn't always get there in time. And we've seen this quite a few times during his years in Dallas, where he's giving up these penalty kicks. But I will say this is, not having Uriguide back there to sort of, clean up some of this stuff, because as they chase Dinky down, Abubakar just cannot get over there as quickly as what we know Uriguide can. And once DK rounds Martin Paz, I think you're right. He's going to have a tough angle there.
Dallas have conceded now 5 penalties on the season, and the previous 4 have hit the net. It's going to be Dinky here, looking to continue a hot scoring run for Cincinnati. Paz looking for his first save from 12 yards in MLS this season.
Short run up. Can be about 2 steps.
It's Kevin Dinky, stutter step, and rolls it to the right, and Martin Paz unable to save. To be honest, it's not a legal run up from Dinky, but it's going to count.
Yeah, that little stutter step when you actually take a little pause. Not supposed to do that, but it never gets called. And I don't know, you said roll it to the right. I mean, he put that ball in a pretty good spot, low, with a little bit of pace, and it's a pretty good penalty kick in the end, I think.
Like we've seen often with Martin Paz, he does go the right way, but he's unable to keep it out this time. 3 penalty saves last season, now 0 for 5 in these situations this year. But he actually steps backwards. I mean, that is another level of putting the goalkeeper off that is explicitly against the rules. At least like to see a retake there, but it's 2-0 Cincinnati here in the 43rd minute. Denke now on the score sheet, joining Pavel Buka.
Well, I was about to say, you know, you sort of hope that FC Dallas could get to the half, just down a goal and regroup a little bit. You know, Denke got in behind a line that was up a little bit high when you don't have or get a speed back there.
Here's a nice combination between Musa and Acosta, who springs Julio now. Early cross in towards Kamungo. That one rolls through towards Celentano.
It's a nice angle ball out to Anderson Julio, and he plays a pretty useful ball into Bernie Kamungo, toward Bernie Kamungo, but needed one more runner in there to create a little bit of indecision, as it was a little too easy to defend that low ball into the near post.
Dallas putting pressure on Celentano, who lifts it up high, not very far clear. Now fight for the second ball. Ramiro wins the header, and Powell sends it clear. Dallas midfield completely vacant as they've gone pressing, and now Evander has space in the middle. Spreads it out to Oriano. Runners at the back post. Oriano leaves Shaq Moore in his wake, and then Kaique goes sliding in, commits the foul, and picks up the yellow card right in shooting range for Evander.
And Evander just hasn't had much to say about this game, just sort of helping his team move possession along, but now he's going to get a chance to create a 3-goal lead with a free kick along the left side of along Cincinnati's attacking left side.
Yeah, and Kaique pretty clearly going in hard there to stop the attack.
I think that's a frustration foul from FC Dallas's young Brazilian.
Oriano stayed down. He's receiving treatment. Linked to a move away, actually. Look, Oriano.
I feel like Oriano has been linked to moves away for quite some time now, since about this time last year.
He was on loan with Cincinnati last year, and they made the move permanent, but that hasn't stopped the rumors, like we saw with Alan Velasco on the Dallas side. If anything, they've intensified. Santos Laguna, the team connected with Oriano, who's now helped up to his feet. And in a game which is billed as Lucho and Evander, neither has had a huge influence on proceedings, but Evander, from these situations, one of the best in the business. I think you told me earlier, Steve, 5 free kick goals in the past 12 months.
Last calendar year, yeah.
Might be best in Major League Soccer. There's only one man with any record to rival him, that'd be Lionel Messi. A couple of yards outside the box towards the far side, which suits the right foot of Evander. Now it's going to put 5 players in the wall. Farfan, Musa, Biaga, Abubakar, and Shaq Moore, with Julio laying behind. They know the danger of the Cincinnati number 10 from dead ball situations. Pass wants the wall to shift further left, and now they finally get the message. Take a half step shuffle to the left. Here's Evander now. Short run up. Evander lifts it towards the wall, off the top of the wall, and cleared by Dallas, who escape what would be a dagger blow, a 3rd goal here in first half stoppage time, into which we now enter 1 minute played of 5 added on.
Another foul there, whistled against Dallas. You need to be careful here. The only way this gets worse is with a red card, so they got a couple of players now carrying around those yellows.
Evander lifts it forward into the feet of Denke. Abubakar right on his back. Denke drops it off to Wobodo. Powell down the line for Yedlin. Out towards Buka, who left early. Offside flag goes up against Buka, who got the opening goal. Farfan receives it under pressure from Yedlin. Ball forward. Lucho lets it run. Intercepted by Robinson ahead of Musa. Now Evander. Step over right, goes left. Poked out wide for Oriano. Oriano looking to find some space here against Shaq Moore, who gets a foot on the ball, puts it behind for a corner.
Yeah, we just saw another way this loss of Urguide today is going to affect FC Dallas. They're not going to be able to move the ball out of the back. That time Cincinnati pressing and Dallas just couldn't get out of it. I say they're not going to be able to move the ball out of the back, not as effectively, that is.
Another corner kick for Evander from the far side. Goes short this time into the feet of Buka, returned to him. Back to Buka towards the byline, looking for space, cuts back on Julio, off the right foot, headed away by Ibiaga. Evander shrugs off Acosta, then back heels out to Oriano, corner of the 18, Musa defending. And Buka beats Musa to the ball. Musa goes down. And Julio retrieves it for Dallas. Musa's still down on the turf as Julio's clearance is blocked in towards Evander, who scoops it up towards the back post over the bar.
I got about 90 seconds left before referee De La Vera blows his whistle, and Dallas definitely needs to get in and regroup.
And we need to hope that Musa can continue here. Kind of went down in the middle of the play, and you only would really see that if you'd be real concerned about an injury, but it looks like he'll play on. Pass goes long. Header one there by Wobodo, straight out of play. Final minute of 5 added on. Costa takes the throw into Ramiro and then gets it back. Ike to Ramiro, dropped off for Lucho Acosta. Goes forward on the dribble, looking for options. Gets it back after bounced off Wobodo. Now spreads wide left for Farfan. Both Dallas left back and left wing tucked inside there. Just nobody supplying any real width.
I don't really quite understand Bernie Kamungo's role here. Instead of, he's often inside, sort of switching with Musa or just inside along with Musa. I'd like to see him stay a little wider.
Musa still pretty clearly not moving too well right now. Only recently back from an ankle injury. Yedlin, ball forward into Evander, into the feet of Denke. Denke out to Oriano, a lot of space for him here on the stroke of halftime, sends the cross in, and it's claimed there by Martin Pass. And that will do it. A first half which had a couple of goals for Cincinnati and a big injury to Osaze Urguide, Steve. No, Eric Quill not in the locker room, suspended tonight. Rodrigo Rios at the helm. What could the message be in what has been a very frustrating opening 45?
You know, first of all, I'm not sure what the communication rules are, how much communication he can have, but I'm sure Eric Quill has his own ideas about how they need to fix this. But either way, somebody's got to get some things fixed, because right now Celentano really hasn't had anything to do in Cincinnati goal. The old problems of not creating enough width, especially on the left side. Shaq Moore has gotten down the right side just a little bit, but again, the precision just has not been there in the final third. FC Dallas is going to have to figure out a way to fix that and contain the attack on the other side.
Buka in the 30th minute, Denke from the spot in the 42nd minute makes it 2-0 FC Cincinnati as we head into the halftime break. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer here on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. Just 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi everyone, it's Marco Farfan, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Well, it's Cincinnati in front 2-0 from TQL Stadium after 45 minutes tonight. Welcome into the halftime show, which tonight is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places, and by Advocare, building champions together. It was Pavel Buka in the 30th minute. Kevin Denke won the penalty and converted it in the 42nd minute, and we sit here 2-0 Cincinnati is your score. Take you quickly through the stats, which are brought to you by UMB Bank, and for that, I turn to Steve Davis.
Well, the numbers don't look what I would call optimal for FC Dallas. Cincinnati right now, the home team, with 64% of the possession. Cincinnati ahead in shots 9-2, ahead in shots on target 3-0. Just mentioned that Celentano really only had that one little cross from the right side right at the end of the first half to sort of scoop up. No saves, though. Corner kicks, 3 for Cincinnati, 2 for FC Dallas. If you want to talk about XG, sometimes we like to talk about that. Sometimes we don't. Cincinnati, 1.6 expected goals so far. FC Dallas, 0.1. That's about what you'd expect when you have no shots on target. Fouls, only 5 called against the home team, 11 called against Dallas. A couple of players for Dallas carrying yellow cards. That's Marco Farfan and Kaique. And Alvis Powell, the only player for Cincinnati carrying around a yellow.
Well, I want to talk about that because we're actually getting a look at it on our screens right now. First couple of minutes into the game, FC Dallas able to take advantage of a loose touch there from Powell. Lucho Acosta wins it back, drawn down, gets the yellow card. And from there, Steve, it felt like it was an obvious answer to then go down that side and attack Alvis Powell, who committed a couple of different errors and mistakes with the ball the rest of the half. But really, they didn't take advantage of that with Bernie Kamungo up the left.
You know, it's funny because I sometimes wonder, Ryan, how much a coach not being on the sidelines really impacts the game. And I typically think probably not that much. You know, you put the game plan, you implement the game plan during practice. Everybody knows what the coaches wanted. I mean, we're into week 16 now. But in this case, Ryan, I do wonder if maybe, Eric Quill not being on the sideline has made an impact there, because I would have thought that Quill might have been on the sideline screaming at Bernie, stay wide, make him stay wide, isolate him, get him into that spot where, he's got to let you get by him or he's going to be in trouble over there. And it just didn't happen. Not only were Dallas not finding him in good spots, he just wasn't in good spots. I kept seeing Bernie Kamungo somehow trailing into the middle, and that's not what you want when you've got a player that's exposed and vulnerable like that, like Alvis Powell was.
And looking at the goal in the 30th minute, Dallas a little bit lax defensively. It started on the right side for Cincinnati. They switched it over to Oriano on the left, who Dallas, of all teams, knows how dangerous he can be. He won the game for Cincinnati in Frisco last year. He sort of sizes up Shaq Moore, gets to the end line, gets the cross away, lifting it towards the back post where Kaique was the one defending, and that meant that there was no one in the middle. When it goes over Kaique's head, breaks for Yedlin cuts it back comfortably for Buka. Nobody within a 5-yard radius of Pavel Buka there, and he slots it towards the back post. Ibiaga has a chance to clear it off the line, but the pace on the shot just takes it past him, off Ibiaga, and into the back of the net. For you diagnosing where this goal starts, where are the issues for Dallas?
Well, it's funny because I was watching Anderson Julio on one side and Bernie Kamungo on the other side during this sequence. Just sort of focused in on them because as the ball, sort of circulated from right to left and back over to the right, in that early part of the sequence, what we like to see wingers do as they sort of defend those areas, you don't have to get out there and tackle, but as soon as the ball gets into those wide areas, you got to step to them a little quicker. Just get within that 2 or 3 yard space so that they can't, launch a ball, so they can't cross the ball, so they can't switch it easily. But Bernie Kamungo was just a little casual over there. He didn't really step out on the right side. And then on the other side, Anderson Julio, same thing. He didn't really step out there. So now you're just giving those players you're giving them space. First of all, you're giving them confidence that they can run by you, which is what happened. Arjano crosses the ball to the backside. It's Yedlin that's back there sorted by himself. Farfan, or it was Kaique that was trying to get over there, as you said. But everybody else, they're just not focused. They're just not in the moment. It's almost like the whole team somehow turned off just for that one sequence on defense. And yet, man, you just cannot do that, and they got punished.
And stop me if you've heard this before, but Dallas really struggling in the midfield right now in the 4-2-3-1. They've got Ramiro and Kaique in the engine room there with Acosta as the number 10. And coming into the season, this was the shape that Eric Kuhl said he wanted to play. This was his system. Back with North Texas, with New Mexico, wherever he's gone, he's implemented this system. But right now, it just doesn't feel like Dallas has the personnel to keep up in midfield. And this isn't a game against FC Cincinnati where you're matching up 3 against 3 in there. If you count Evander and Acosta, it's Buka and Swoboda just really, to my eyes, outplaying so far Ramiro and Kaique.
Yeah, and with Evander hasn't really done much in the final third, although I do feel like he's helped him with possession and also with his movement as Kaique and Ramiro are sort of trying to shadow him and keep him in their cover shadow. So he's moving out into positions and opening up passing lanes just by moving them around with his own movement. So that's really clever from Evander, and that is another way you can impact the game. But you're absolutely right, Ryan. What we saw earlier in this 4-2-3-1 formation was that because of the tendency for Lucho Acosta to freelance, they sort of got outnumbered in there. It just sort of messed with their defensive structure, and it gives Kaique and Ramiro sometimes too much work to do. And sure enough, there are too many times when it's just too easy to play through the midfield, especially in transition. By the way, whenever you get ready, I've got some numbers for you on Lucho and Evander as we sort of compare and contrast, because we know that was a big storyline coming into this one.
Yeah, why don't you go for it before we get to the even worse news about this first half, and that was the injury.
Yeah, as long as we can push that one back, that would be good. So Lucho so far, his passing actually improved as the afternoon went on a little bit. 15 of 19 on passing. That's not too bad. 27 touches. The problem is that none of those touches were inside the opposition box. 0 for 1 on his attempted dribbles. 0 for 2 on his attempted crosses. So, nothing really to write home about that. Evander, on the other hand, 22 of 22 on his passes, 28 touches, so about even on, as far as their number of touches. He had 4 passes into the final third, 4 of 4 on his accuracy on long balls. So Evander doing a little bit more to help his team, although ultimately he hasn't really been a dynamic presence near FC Dallas goal.
And the big moment of the first half, goals aside, was losing Osaze Arguide to injury. I think that was immediately felt on the play that led to the penalty. Dinky gets in behind, rounds Martin Paz, takes the contact, goes down, and then scores the penalty himself. And that makes it 2-0 at the halftime break. Hoping for more from an FC Dallas standpoint in the second half, and we'll be bringing you that action here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. We're back with the second half on the other side of this break.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Paxton Palmacall, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Just about set for the second half from TQL Stadium. FC Cincinnati leading at home 2-0 over FC Dallas at the break. While we got a moment, I want to let you know that you shouldn't miss the FC Dallas Rewind on KDFI More 27. Every Tuesday night during the regular season at 7 p.m. you can catch a replay of FC Dallas' most recent MLS match for free on KDFI More 27. This free over-the-air channel is available everywhere in the DFW market. And that was last night. The upcoming game against Philadelphia Union will be aired the following Tuesday. You can catch that every week on KDFI. Also got time to let you know that Toyota Stadium is getting a makeover, from a brand new roof that will cover every seat in the building to gorgeous new club spaces and a variety of new suites. Toyota Stadium is set to become one of the finest venues in Major League Soccer. To learn more, you can visit newtoyotastadium.com. I want to take a quick look around the league as we wait for the second half to kick off from Cincinnati. It's Orlando leading on the road 2-1 at Atlanta United. New England with a goal right on the stroke of halftime. They lead 1-0 at DC United. Of course, in Cincinnati, it's Cincinnati in front 2-0 over Dallas. Lionel Messi with the goal in the first half at home against Montreal. Inter Miami leads 1-0. Houston 1-0 at the break. Up in New York City, they lead on the road. New York Red Bulls 2-1 up over Charlotte FC at home. Scoreless between Toronto and Philadelphia up in Canada. And Philadelphia, of course, will be Dallas's next opponent in league play. That's a long trip from up north down to Toyota Stadium in Frisco, Texas. First half action, Nashville up 1-0 on the road at Columbus. Dealing with some injuries there are the Crew. And just underway, Seattle hosting San Diego tonight in what is a top-quality Western Conference matchup over on the West Coast. Steve, any of those results sticking out to you here through the early action in MLS play?
No, but I always, my ears always perk up when I hear that Lionel Messi scored a goal. So interested to see how that team is going to do in the upcoming Club World Cup, and also whether MLS is going to have 2 or 3 teams in the Club World Cup, as LAFC's got that play-in game that might get them in that big tournament.
Yeah, later on tonight, Austin hosting Real Salt Lake. That one about to kick off in just 20 minutes or so. The late window, LA Galaxy, San Jose, a classic in California. Portland hosting Colorado. Vancouver hosting Minnesota ahead of the CONCACAF Champions Cup final down at Cruz Azul on Sunday. Crazy to me that they're playing this midweek, by the way. Portland hosting St. Louis, and LAFC close out the evening hosting Sporting KC.
I'll tell you what, Ryan, Dallas has to be a little bit more precise in the final third. You know, that look at that pass a while ago, Shaq, that cut back to Lucho, or Anderson Julio's cut back to, I believe that was to also to Lucho. Not Anderson Julio, that was cut back to Musa. Just got to be a little bit more precise in those.
Well, Eric Quill, with the assistance of Rodrigo Rios on the sideline tonight, making one halftime adjustment. Pedrinho in for Bernie Kamungo in the attacking midfield areas.
Well, I mean, you know, one of 2 things had to happen. Kamungo had to keep wider positions, or I guess this, if the winger out there is going to drift inside quite as much, then Pedrinho is probably a better option to have in there.
So Julio shifts to the left, Pedrinho in on the right wing for Dallas. And we are back underway from TQL Stadium. Cincinnati holding a 2-goal lead from the first half action. Go long towards Dinkgate. Flicked along and comfortable for Martin Paz to pick up and claim.
Yeah, two of 5 subs now used for FC Dallas, but only 1 window has been used up, so they'll still have 2 windows to use those last 3 subs.
Well, in Seattle, Julio was replaced at the break by Kamungo, and now in Cincinnati, it's Kamungo replaced at the break by Pedrinho, and that's been a revolving door on the wing for FC Dallas.
Peter Musa with an early touch. He only had 16 touches in the first half. Only 1 inside the penalty area, so definitely Dallas needs to find more ways to get him involved.
And if there's one good sign for Dallas, is that when Pedrinho comes off the bench, he tends to make things happen. I'm thinking back to the game against Miami when he had a goal and an assist in the comeback win. Hasn't always worked out for him as a starter, but it's been Dallas's best weapon off the bench so far this season.
Anderson Julio is going to move over to the left side. He'd started on the right, and Pedrinho will play on the right side now. So maybe Anderson Julio can bother Alvis Powell over there, with Powell carrying that yellow card.
All the yellow cards are out on the far side right now. Farfan, Kayike, and Powell, the players booked in the first half. Martin Pass on the ball. Dallas moving from left to right here in the second half. Pass launching it long towards Julio. Good weight on it. Julio brings it down in stride. Good first touch towards the byline into the 18 along the left side. Julio cut back cross looking for Lucho. Breaks for Lucho. Drop of the shoulder now. Poke towards Petter Musa. Musa shot saved by Celentano. It's Pedrinho on the follow-up. Blazes it wide. More involvement in front of goal than Dallas had in the entire opening half. But they can't find a way back into the game, or at least a way onto the scoreboard here.
Well, yeah, but they're back in the game a little bit. At least they're in the game now, because that's a point-blank shot. Good save from Celentano off Musa. But look, all that starts on a big ball from Martin Paz up the left side, and it's exactly what we were asking for. Make Alvis Powell work over there. He's a backup. He's not the fastest. He's carrying a yellow card, and it just didn't do enough to bother him. And after that rebound, it's a tough shot as Pedrinho's sort of moving away along the right side. He just can't get his body, his hips and shoulders turned around. He blazes that rebound shot wide.
Well, I was chuckling because Lucho Acosta just pulled off a double nutmeg pass inside the 18-yard box, getting that to Musa. Worthy of being an assist, but it was a good save from the former Indiana Hoosier in net for Cincinnati. Positive signs right out of the break for Dallas, who have been good in terms of making changes in games, finding ways back into things. Pedrinho wouldn't have known in the moment, but he had Shaq Moore probably in a better position to shoot, as Pedrinho had to try and wrap his hips around it. Shaq Moore was running right onto the ball. And in those moments, you never want to leave it inside the 18 and potentially not get a shot off at all. Here's a long ball direct to Dinky. Dinky brings it down for Santos, spread out to the near side for Oriano. Oriano low ball in towards Dinky. Ibiaga mishits the clearance, but Shaq Moore helps him clean it up and gets it wide to Pedrinho with some space ahead of him. Now Musa back for Shaq Moore, who will spread it to the far side for Farfan. Farfan on the dribble into midfield, combining with Kayike. Farfan now wide for Julio. A lot of space for Pedrinho in the center circle here. Receives it from Julio now. Head up, looking for Lucho on the far side. Deflects into the path of Shaq Moore on the near side. Shaq Moore at full tilt. Beats Oriano to the ball. Cut back cross towards Musa. Good first touch. Musa roofs it. And Dallas are right back in this game. What a start to the second half. Petter Musa back on the score sheet. And Dallas now within one.
That's a good possession for FC Dallas. A lot of patience there as they build out, kept the ball. They weren't as sloppy as they were in the midfield with possession. And that turns into Pedrinho having a lot of room to get his head up, look forward. I think there was a little deflection in there as Pedrinho tried to play that ball forward, but it fell fortuitously over for Shaq Moore on the right side. And Moore knows exactly what to do as he pulls this one back into Peter Musa. Good job of Shaq winning the battle over there against Oriano. Musa with a good early first touch, setting himself up for close range right at the corner of that goal area. Are they going to look at maybe a possible handball there from Shaq Moore?
I'll tell you what, it does hit his hand, but his hand is very tucked to his body. And the goal's given. We can stop holding our breath as we play on at 2-1.
Yeah, you know, the rule is if something like that leads directly to a goal, that might be a little bit of a stretch to say that one led directly. It was directly-ish, I guess.
Well, Shaq Moore picks up an assist on the goal. That's his first in MLS play with FC Dallas. Had one in the Open Cup earlier in the season. Well, we asked for width. We asked for crossing. Shaq Moore bombing up the right side early in the second half has provided that. And now some momentum for FC Dallas at TQL Stadium. Cincinnati looking to respond. Buka with Yedlin on the overlap. That time Julio attent to his defensive duties. And Dallas moving the ball through midfield. Pedrinho's inspiration here. Combining with Lucho, who then just runs into Flores. And now a shot from way out, trying to test Martin Pass out off his line, but that one nowhere near.
That was Oriano. He did that once last year.
Scored the goal of the year, 2024, from just about halfway. The year before that, Lucho Acosta had the goal of the year. FC Cincinnati, a dribble run from the halfway line. Farfan direct into the feet of Musa. Nice first touch, finds Julio. Now Musa looking for the run of Acosta in behind. Powell cuts it off. Powell under pressure from 3 Dallas players, just runs out of play. And you get the sense that Dallas have so much of the momentum right now. They need to take advantage and find that second goal before Cincinnati can find their feet here in the second half.
Or before they can add a couple more of their regulars.
Jack Moore now driving forward through midfield. Pedrinho out ahead of him. Here's Pedrinho, corner of the 18, try to return it to Shaq Moore. And Flores puts it out for a throw on the near side.
Now Pedrinho centered again. He's come in and brought some ideas, some energy.
2 goals, 2 assists on the season for Pedrinho.
And he won't get an official assist on that, I don't believe, but he certainly had a lot to do with that goal.
Poked it down the line here for Ramiro, who's the furthest player forward up the right side. Lifts it in towards Musa, off the head of Musa, looking for Kaique, back post. Farfan tracks it down. Santos back defending. Farfan goes down, no whistle. And it will be a Dallas throw.
Yeah, I think Farfan went down a little easily there. De Oliveira wasn't buying what Farfan was selling.
Pedrinho has 1 goal contribution as a starter, but 3 of his 4 have come off the bench. There's Lucho Acosta, closed down by Buca. Ramiro out to Kaique, wide left for Farfan. A lot of Dallas players around the ball here. Acosta down the line towards the corner flag.
That's too many Dallas players around the ball. There's nobody to cross to if somebody gets free.
Julio going to recycle here through Abubakar. If you're just joining us, Dallas playing without Urquide, who went off with what looked like a muscle injury in the first half. The only player who played every minute in MLS for FC Dallas this season, now off the field. Dallas give it away there. And it's Kevin Dinke dropping in to help out. And now Evander getting some touches on the ball on the halfway line.
Yeah, sorry, Ryan. Dallas doing a little better there. When they don't win the ball back immediately, they just sort of concede possession and get back into defensive shape, which I like.
I saw a lot of this in the opening 20 minutes before a goal went in, of just moving along the back line of FC Cincinnati. Dallas sitting in. Here's a run out of midfield from Buca. Julio chasing him. Dropped off for Yedlin. Yedlin doesn't see any options he likes ahead of him. Drops off for Powell. Evander coming deep to receive it here. Lifts it out to the far side. Off the head of Santos, trying to control it near the corner flag. Farfan defending. And to Yedlin. Yedlin's into the box now. Buca along the right side. Ramiro stops the low cross. Back to Buca. Sets up Evander from just inside the box over the bar.
Buca moving forward from that sort of nominal holding midfield position. He's been a real bother tonight, as he's his late runs into the final third are really creating some opportunities for Cincinnati.
Get another look at the Musa goal. Absolutely blasted the corner camera inside the net.
I mean, it goes right over Celentano's right shoulder, but he just hit it so hard from right at the corner of that penalty area, which is, you know, close range.
Pass goes long again to Musa, who wins the header. Julio can't keep it.
Corner of the goal area, beg your pardon.
That Musa goal giving Dallas some life. His 4th of the season, now leading the team in MLS play. Abubakar into midfield for Ramiro. Disguise pass finds Pedrinho in the center circle. Quickly closed down. Goes back to Shaq Moore. Played 10 minutes of the second half. Dallas with a nice grip on the game here. Kaique looking to spring Pedrinho, who made the run out of midfield but just mishit the pass. And it's through for Celentano.
Anderson Julio consistently keeping wider positions now on the left side, and I think it's really helping FC Dallas.
Pedrinho putting some token pressure there on Flores. Goes across the back line now to Powell. Closed down by Julio. Julio sliding tackle, got a foot on the ball, but it just didn't break for a Dallas player there. Closest he's come in those pressing situations to forcing a turnover.
Unlucky there because it almost found its way into Musa.
Now Evander from the near side to the far, brought down by Yedlin. Finds Buca. Buca into the feet of Denke. Heavy first touch. Can't control it. And Ramiro sends it skyward.
Dallas a little bit better now, getting closer to those blue shirts. once they get into the attacking half, getting there a little quicker.
Yedlin looking for the run of Buka out of midfield, overhits the pass. Martin Paz comes to claim. Rolled out quickly to Kaike, a lot of space for him into the Cincinnati half. Now he's closed down by Wobodo. Evander helping out defensively to win it back for Cincy. And then a collision there with Julio and Yedlin, who wins the foul.
That's a situation there where Musa just sort of crowding the area where really I want to see Acosta. Acosta's there, so Musa doesn't need to be there. You just bring in extra defenders into the area, then the pass can't find either one of them.
57th minute, Cincinnati 2, FC Dallas 1. Dallas defending in that 4-4-2 with Lucho and Musa in the middle, Pedrinho and Julio on the wings. Denke, nice first touch to turn past Ramiro, pokes it wide for Oriano. Oriano sizes up Shaq Moore. This time he's going infield. A quick 1-2 with Evander, but Shaq Moore closes the passing lane there, and Ibiaga able to retrieve it. Dallas building up the near side. Musa lifts it over the top. Pedrinho here, foot race with Miles Robinson. Miles Robinson, one of the best in the business in those situations, gets there first.
Looked like Pedrinho was standing still in that case. Robinson's just very quick there.
It was a Osaze Uriguide type moment.
It was. Because I actually think Pedrinho might have even been outside. He was a step or two ahead of Robinson. And Robinson made that ground up very quickly. Which is why we'll probably end up seeing Miles Robinson next year in the Stars and Stripes shirt.
Sergio Santos popping up wide here now down the line for Yedlin. Yedlin low cross towards Denke. Ibiaga does well just to stab that away from the two waiting Cincinnati players. And now Pedrinho on it. Pedrinho trying to bend it in behind for the run of Julio. Julio that time kept his position wide a little bit too much perhaps. And there was nobody there through the middle for Cincinnati. If he'd gone on the hard diagonal run, he might have been in behind.
Yeah, I agree. He was just sort of floating out there. You know, I would have liked to have seen him take a couple of quick steps to the outside and then, as you said, make a hard run inside. I think Pedrinho could have found him there.
I'll tell you, after this 13 minutes of really pushing, Dallas, particularly attacking four, looking a little bit tired right now. It's out wide with Yedlin on the far side. Yedlin early cross, defended by Abubakar at the top of the 18. Musa flicks it along towards Lucho. Wobodo wins it back.
You do have Logan Farrington that you can bring in. Patrickson Delgado. A couple other potential attacking options.
Now still awaiting the return from injury for Leo Chu, Sebastian Lletget. Both getting pretty close to making their way back. Also goes for a foul. Abubakar going through the back of Denke there right on the halfway line. Well, FC Dallas is celebrating 30 years in Major League Soccer. The club is commemorating its most iconic moments, kits, players, and more. You can visit fcdallas.com/30 to relive the most important moments, storylines, and more from throughout the club's history. Played an hour at TQL Stadium, and after a first half which was dominated by the home side, Dallas right back in this game, 2-1, the score in favor of FC Cincinnati.
I mentioned that Petar Musa 16 touches in the first half. We've now played 15 minutes in the second half, and he's almost doubled that number. In fact, he has officially 32 touches. Much better attacking sequences now for FC Dallas. Pedrinho making all the difference.
Here's Evander in the attacking third into Santos, top of the box. Santos goes down, nothing there for the referee. Wide again with Oriano. Wobodo back to Robinson. Dallas back in their defensive shape. Evander out to Buka, can't find Denke. Can Dallas clear the lines?
Evander doing a pretty good job now of orchestrating from just doing it from deeper positions.
Lifted out towards Oriano, easily intercepted there by Shaq Moore. Santos to the back of Pedrinho. I don't think it was given as a foul. As we get a look at Kai Kamara about to enter for FC Cincinnati, the 40-year-old with his 12th MLS team.
I mean, what a legend. You just said it, 40 years old, and I said all along, I saw him way back when he was a young man. I saw him in the Houston locker room one evening, and I thought, this guy looks like an NFL free safety.
I think Musa has just picked up a yellow card for some contact away from the ball. And it's Flores who stayed down holding his face. It's always a concern in terms of VAR taking a potential look at it. VAR tonight, Kevin Stott. I think Flores really just threw himself into Musa's elbow, to be honest. He was sort of antagonizing the Dallas striker there.
Yeah, and I don't think there was a big windup or a big cock of the elbow, so I don't believe we'll see anything more from VAR Central in Arlington.
Well, Steve, while we wait for Kai Kamara to enter the field, I'll throw you a little trivia, and there's a lot for Kai Kamara with his long career.
There would be.
Which non-MLS team has Kai Kamara played for?
Non-MLS?
Outside of the United States.
It was, I know it was in England. I think he actually played for two. Middlesbrough was one of them, and then he played on loan somewhere else, maybe Wigan?
Norwich City.
Norwich. And Middlesbrough was the other one.
Here's a ball for Oriano, breaks towards the byline, in towards Denke, and Dallas conceded a corner. Shaq Moore had gone down, and so did Santos. Those two came together at the top of the box. Shaq Moore wanted the foul. It's the reason Oriano had so much space.
There's just a coming together there.
But it sort of broke the play. I would like to see the referee whistle for that. Santos has a look right at Shaq Moore and then shoves him out of the way.
No, you know what? You're right. At first I thought Santos was maybe looking for the ball, but you're right. He definitely looked back and then made sure he impeded Shaq Moore's efforts to get back over there towards Oriano.
Well, he's the one to be replaced. Kai Kamara into the match for FC Cincinnati, the second all-time leader in goals, just behind Wondolowski, of course. Now the active leader in goals in Major League Soccer, as he was without a team to start the year, ended last year with LAFC.
I believe this is officially his 450th appearance.
Made 40 last year with LAFC in all competitions. Here's a corner kick from Evander into the danger area, headed away by Ramiro at the near post, up into the air. Flores challenges for it. Ka'ike wins the header. Wobodo swings another cross in towards Flores, again, who gets the first contact but can't direct it on goal.
Dallas doing a pretty good job of getting reorganized on the second phase of that corner kick so that Flores really didn't get a good clean header on it.
Dallas going to make their next change. Ka'ike replaced by Patrickson.
A little bit of a mixed bag, I think, for Ka'ike tonight. Some good, some bad. He's young. That's not to be unexpected. Got a little loose with passes sometimes in the midfield, but he always covers a lot of ground, tackles hard. He tackled a lot of frustration a while ago and gave Evander a free kick in a bad spot. Good spot for Evander.
That's one of the players with the yellow card now removed for Dallas. Go direct towards Musa, breaks for Patrickson, first touch for him, finds Musa, now up the right side. Julio able to keep it in play, foot race towards the corner. Flores trying to shield it out and just about able to do so with Julio there for company. And right in front of the Dallas substitutes warming up, encouraging their Ecuadorian.
I'm not sure if that was just a momentary switch, but Anderson Julio now on the right side. I just like him better on the other side, although Dallas sort of stopped going long to Julio after 5 or 10 minutes of the second half. That's where the Dallas goal started.
Ball into the feet of Buka, laid off for Kamara. First touch for him. Now Evander receives it, and Musa there to pick his pocket from behind. Now Musa with his head up, going to switch it out to Shaq Moore, who'll bring it up the right side for Dallas. Runners ahead of him. Drop of the shoulder, trying to get to the end line, past Oriano. Oriano goes to ground. Shaq Moore does as well. Lucho Acosta trying to keep it in play. Low cross is defended there at the near post by Wilbedo.
Shaq Moore had the corner, just couldn't get the cross away.
Now Wilbedo brings it up the near side, ball in behind for Kamara to chase. Kamara at full stretch, and Abubakar comes across with a sliding tackle, but Kamara was getting up to speed there. And Abubakar just enough to match him and make the intervention.
I'm trying to think of Abubakar maybe in his days in Columbus. Did he cross paths with Kai Kamara?
That was one I didn't have prepared. We'd have to go back and look. Dallas doesn't have a ton of players that have been sort of that MLS journeyman that would have crossed paths with Kamara despite his long career in the league. A lot of the Dallas players young or new to the league. Buka and Yedlin trying to combine up the far side. Farfan intercepts. Musa pokes it wide for Pedrinho. Pedrinho sees two defenders, gets it into Musa. Musa poked ahead for Lucho. Lucho again wide to Pedrinho. Pedrinho sees the early ball to Julio. Julio in behind here, all alone inside the 18. Anderson Julio lifts it past Celentano, and Dallas are back level. Yet another second half resurgence on the road for FC Dallas.
A complete breakdown there from Cincinnati. Anderson Julio wide open on the backside there. Pat Noonan over on the sideline wondering how maybe the FC Dallas winger got that wide open without being outside, but he does a great job of just keeping his composure, letting Celentano show which side he's going down, and then lifting it over into that back corner. It's Acosta, Musa, and Pedrinho again. Pedrinho over there supplying the ball.
I mean, what a pass. Perfect weight on it. And Julio makes no mistake. You give him that much time, make sure to finish it off nicely past Celentano, who was left all alone there. And how about this? We've seen this script once before. Pedrinho off the bench against an Eastern Conference heavyweight, turning a 2-goal deficit into now a new game. And last time in Miami, they went and did one better. And they've got 22 minutes plus stoppage time to push on for more.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's too bad that I'll check. I don't believe Pedrinho got an assist on that first goal, because he deserved one, and this time he certainly gets one. What a ball from way over on the left side. I mean, to be fair, there was a lot of room to play it into, but you're right, he played it with just the right angle, just the right weight.
Well, how many times in the first half was there a pass like that potentially on, and it was just mishit off by a yard or so, and Pedrinho's provided the precision required here in the second half.
Great point.
In response, Cincinnati readying a couple of changes as we played 69 minutes now. Kamara and Denke involved in this attack. Denke in towards Kamara. Kamara header saved well by Martin Paz down to his right. Dallas nearly conceding a gut punch there to the longtime MLS veteran Denke, his strike partner, picking him out well.
But that header has a lot of pace on it as it comes in from, it's going to be about 10 yards, almost 12 yards out. Good save from Martin Paz, going down quickly to his right.
Corner taken towards the back post. Buka challenging for it. Shaq Moore wins the header. Pedrinho gets there first, plays it down the line, but nobody ahead of him, and it runs out for a Cincinnati throw.
A lot of time to go here, but you know, you and I talked about how a draw maybe with a Lucho Acosta goal would be an emotional lift. I tell you what, a draw from 2-0 down would be an emotional lift as well, but again, still a long way to go. You know, would be even more of an emotional lift.
Say a win with the Lucho Acosta goal,
or a win period.
Sounds like the perfect storm. Although Dallas, of course, did lose Uriguide in the first half. That will be a cloud over whatever happens today.
Yeah, you know, he was walking pretty well though as he came off the field, and you hope it's just precautionary. And he has played a lot.
Since he in possession, Robinson right through the middle finds the feet of Kamara, laid off for Evander. Evander scoops it in behind. Yedlin making the run up the far side. Can he keep it in play? Just about. Header from Kamara again is on target.
Second header. This one is going to go down as a shot, I believe, but second headed ball from Kamara that Paz has to deal with. But I tell you what, Dallas's back line, those two center backs, Abubakar and and Ibeagha, they're going to have to be very physical with Kai Kamara, because he is even at 40 years old, he is a physical presence.
Pass going long towards Musa, tangling with Robinson. Robinson wins the header. Now Wobodo juggling it up to himself, and it's Lucho who brings it down with a perfect first touch in the middle of 3 players. Poked ahead for Julio. Back to Ramiro. Over to Patrickson. Farfan wide left for Dallas. Back to Patrickson into Pedrinho, who's been at the heart of this comeback. Again into the feet of Pedrinho, back to Patrickson. Ramiro to Pedrinho, now Lucho Acosta popping up wide left. Cincinnati just congesting things on the far side where Dallas are trying to build through. Back to Abubakar, and now Ramiro receiving it again. Head for Acosta, does some of his best work in those congested spaces. Powell going to ground there to poke it off and out for a Dallas throw, and that'll allow Cincinnati to make their changes.
I just had another look at that Paz save a minute ago off that little Dinky cross. Clever little cross and powerful header at 12 yards. Best save of the night from Martin Paz.
Alvis Powell replaced by Dado Valenzuela. That's a very attacking change.
Yes, it is.
Buka off as well, and I saw 23 up on the board.
Yeah, Lucas Engel.
Engel in to replace Oriano, so a triple sub. You have to see who the final addition was for Cincinnati. Looks like Teenage Hadebe, the center back, is in as well, so they do keep their 3 center back structure. They'll get some fresh legs on the field, including their usual starter at left wing back Lucas Engel, who's on it here. Danish player on loan from Middlesbrough finds Evander, who switches the play out to Yedlin. Yedlin matched up here with Marco Farfan. Laid off for Dado Valenzuela, tries a shot from distance, blocked by Patrickson, out to Yedlin once again. And Yedlin has it taken away there by Lucho Acosta, who thought he had a throw in, but last touch was out off the Dallas captain.
Dado Valenzuela is a young homegrown. They don't have many of those there in Cincinnati. Still a relatively new team, new club.
Here's Denke looking to get turned inside the 18. Denke past Ibeagha. Martin Paz out to come and claim, and he gets an all-important touch there. And it's going to be a goal kick after all of that. Denke's physical strength on display there as he just spun Ibeagha inside the box.
And you're right. I mean, I mentioned about Kai Kamara, how big a guy he is and physical, but Denke as well.
Martin Paz coming up big for Dallas in the second half so far.
Yeah, Martin Paz brave in that moment because Denke about to shoot from close range. Paz got out on him quick.
Abubakar at full stretch to poke down away from Denke. Now he's out of position as Yedlin receives it. Valenzuela has 3 goals on the season.
Julio and Pedrinho that time quick to get back and recover their defensive positions. Good job there.
75th minute. Level at 2 on TQL Stadium. All down the line from Engel. Picked off there by Moore. Ramiro trying to find the feet of Musa off the mark. Wobodo over to Evander. Out to Lucas Engel. Again, return to Evander centrally now. And ball in behind for Yedlin. Good weight on it. Yedlin keeps it in play. Up into the air. Valenzuela wins the first header. Patrickson with the volley clearance. Only went a few yards, but it was an important few yards out of the danger and to the feet of Lucho Acosta.
Dallas has to track Yedlin arriving late in the box on the backside. Remember, that's how one of the goals came a while ago, the first goal.
This one billed as Evander and Lucho, their first meeting at their new clubs. Neither of them on the score sheet here as we sit at 2-2, and you get the feeling that maybe whichever one can find that decisive goal will grab the headlines in Cincinnati tonight. Or maybe it'll just be Kai Kamara, as it always has been over his long career. Retrieves it here. Finds Evander centrally. Ramiro and Patrickson trying to work it clear. Pedrinho with the ball bouncing. Finds Lucho Acosta. Lucho Acosta early ball in behind, looking for Musa. And he can't control it. Flores retrieves and goes back to Celentano.
Well, Dallas with a little tiki-taka in the back there. I don't really like seeing them do that, but they got away with it that time.
Kamara checking defeat between the two Dallas midfielders. Receives it, finds Evander. Wide left for Lucas Engel. Early cross deflected off Shaq Moore. Shots for a handball from the fans behind the goal. Nobody in the Cincinnati 11 appealing for it. And then whistle goes against Teenage Hadebe as Musa went down holding his head. Quick yellow card out of the pocket of the referee for the recent substitute. And Musa's still down, holding the back of his head here.
Well, that's fair. Musa got the yellow card a while ago for getting his head up around which defender was it that?
Flores, yeah.
Yeah, it was Flores a while ago.
No concern for a handball at the other end. Shaq Moore, it came off his back.
Yeah, he had his hands tucked in anyway, even if maybe it did sort of slice off his arm.
Ooh,
oh, wow.
You know what? That is a lot worse than the Musa one.
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, Hadebe just sort of lined him up and gave it to him, and Hadebe's had some discipline issues before. That's a bad foul from Teenage Hadebe.
Cincy fans were beside themselves during the week on Latte Loth contact away from the play that led to the injury for Nick Haglund, and that was far worse than even that one. But we play on just the yellow card there for Hadebe as Julio receives it short from the free kick. First cross blocked. Engel defending, finds Pedrinho. Pedrinho holds off Valenzuela. Pedrinho in the box, finds Acosta. Acosta, early ball. Low across the ground, fizzed in and blocked behind by Hadebe.
Well, I like that play, though. Acosta and Pedrinho clearly on the same page there.
I don't understand how this isn't a red card from Hadebe.
We just saw it again, and that's absolutely that's a red card. I mean, there's a little bit of physical contact for both players, but Hadebe just took his elbow and hit Peter Musa in the head. I think the disciplinary committee might have a second look at that one, which won't help Dallas tonight.
Still even strength as they go short from the corner out to Pedrinho. Pedrinho from the right side, ball towards the back post. Abubakar wins the header back across, looking for Farfan. And now from distance, the volleyed effort from Patrickson finds Julio, who found Ibiaga, and somehow it ended in a pretty weak shot on target. "11 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Dallas, as it stands, would grab an important point on the road. But I feel like there's another goal in this game, and don't ask me which way it's going to go. I'm really not sure.
No, there's a lot of ebb and flow right now. I mean, 5 minutes, it looked like Cincinnati was.
Here's an early ball from Lucho in behind for Julio, just to wait a little bit too much on the pass from Acosta.
I like the idea from Lucho Acosta, though. Good curling ball from about 40 yards out. Yeah, a minute ago you thought it was Cincinnati, and then for a couple of minutes you think it might be Dallas to get that go-ahead goal. Good game now.
Bobodo brings it forward through the middle, out to Hadebe, recently booked. Could have been worse for the former Houston Dynamo.
I mean, somewhere Eric Quill is watching this game, probably in the stadium there, in a booth. But I'm sure he is just throwing that hat around and beside himself.
Can't say I'd blame him if the hat was getting some punishment right now.
I mean, you wonder. I mean, I assume Kevin Stott saw that last angle that we saw.
I don't know how you see that and don't see immediate violent action.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I wonder if he saw that replay.
Whistle goes for a foul on DeAndre Yedlin.
Because, you know, the first time you and I saw it,
it looked not too bad.
Fairly innocuous. The second time we saw it from the second angle, we thought, oh, wow, that's pretty bad. And then the third time you see it at a really good angle, it's clearly a red card. Now, on we play.
Evander lifts the ball into the box. Abubakar wins the header. Yedlin was again making the run at the back post.
Yeah, it's that late run that Dallas just has to track that a little better.
Delgado caught between a couple of players, broke for Musa, but his pass off the mark there.
I feel like De Oliveira might have blown the whistle and brought that one back, but he didn't.
Hadebe Finds Engel up the near side. Ball in behind, looking for Evander, who leaves it. The dummy in between his legs. It bounced towards Kai Kamara, never reached him. And now Acosta gets there ahead of Valenzuela. Wobodo there to retrieve for Cincinnati. Denke back to Robinson. Space for him to bring it forward. Looks like Corey Baird's up off the bench for Cincinnati. We're trying to combine here through the middle. Patrickson intercepts and clears.
Oh, we talked about Dallas being resilient.
Here's another ball in behind for Yedlin. Gets the wrong side of Farfan, goes down. Referee doesn't see enough for a foul, and Martin Pass able to come and pick it up. There's clearly an avenue for Cincinnati right now, and they're targeting that left side of Dallas. Definitely not enough from Farfan there.
Yeah, there's some contact, but I feel like I'm not sure that Yedlin was fully in control.
Well, Dallas are going to make a change here as well. Anderson Julio, the most recent goal scorer in this game, is going to be replaced by Logan Farrington. 4th goal of the season for Julio is a big one here.
Now Farrington's not as fast as Anderson Julio, but he's going to find ways to be effective. He's going to find ways to keep making runs and keep making the back line of Cincinnati work.
And on the other side, it's going to be DeAndre Yedlin taking off here for Corey Baird, another former Houston player. They don't mind a former Houston player in Cincinnati.
It's an interesting change because, as we just mentioned, DeAndre Yedlin, I know he's 31. You know, we're in the 83rd, 84th minute now, but that's not 35. And I feel like Yedlin was still making good runs into the penalty area.
Yeah, that's a striker now out to right wing back by the looks of things.
And unless that's because they know they're going to have to deal with Farrington or Pedrinho on that wing over there.
Acosta putting pressure on Hadebe. And we'll go back to Salentano here as we played 83 minutes at TQL Stadium. As you were. Be a point apiece if it ends this way. It's 2-2.
Dallas has to find a way to at least get this draw over the finish line. At least.
Diagonal out to Engel, who waits it in to the middle for Evander. That pass off the mark, and Dallas retrieve it. Now in the midfield for Ramiro, ahead for Acosta. Acosta up the right side looking for Shaq Moore, under hit the pass, and now Shaq Moore caught out of position. As it's Miles Robinson in possession. Ramiro filling in at right back for the moment there. And now Evander going to drive forward, pokes it wide for Engel. Shaq Moore is back in position, and Engel got this cross all kinds of wrong. Over the crossbar and behind. We can stay right here on the FC Dallas app or YouTube channel after every match ends for a deep dive into the previous 90 minutes. It's the FC Dallas post-game show only here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. And if you can't join us at Toyota Stadium next Saturday, join us here on the radio network when Dallas hosts the Philadelphia Union. Pre-game coverage begins at 7 p.m. And of course, post-game show will begin immediately concluding the match.
You know, Cincinnati has good players to bring off the bench, but I tell you, I'm just looking at some numbers, and I'm not sad to see Pavel Bucha not on the field anymore. 54 touches tonight, but 7 inside the FC Dallas box. 3 shots, 2 of those on target. I think he was really good tonight. I think he's a good player all the time. Sort of on Cincinnati, he goes a little under the radar, but good, solid player.
So with a nice flick on from that last goal kick, found Farrington, couldn't do much with it. Possession now back with Cincinnati, and Farrington's playing through the middle with Musa filling in along the right side.
Dallas with no shots on target in the first half, 4 in the second half. It's good total for a half on the road.
Is there a sting in the tail either way? 86th minute, and it's Corey Baird who brings it forward up the far side, ahead to Denke. Denke finds Evander centrally. Evander first time ball out to Engel, space inside the 18, now closed down by Shaq Moore. Early cross swung in, Paz gets a hand to it, breaks for Valenzuela, shot through traffic, and somehow it deflects past Martin Paz and in. Another moment where the deflection is what beats the Dallas goalkeeper. It's now 3-2 Cincinnati.
I think it's Dado Valenzuela with the goal there. Boy, it had to be the 87th minute, which I think is the same minute that Seattle scored the other day. Dallas just unable to nurse these things home, but there should be some significant amount of stoppage time. Still a chance here.
We'll have to take a look at how it transpired, but it was an Evander ball that made a lot of space for Engel, the substitute.
Well, it's Engel out on the backside, and nobody's paying much attention to him over there. Farrington gets sucked into the middle when maybe he could have been out there trying to deal with that. Martin Paz sort of is able to knock that first cross from Engel away, but it goes right into Dado Valenzuela, and his shot just deflects. I think the shot isn't really hit very well, and somebody's going to be able to knock that, either Boubacar or Paz himself, but it takes a nasty deflection there off of Marco Farfan, I believe. Still a chance for FC Dallas.
Gonna have to be the late show. Near the 87th minute now, trailing 3-2, having done the hard work to get back in this game.
You got to be better with the ball than that. Lucho just giving the ball away. Dallas getting it right back, though.
Here he is into the attacking third, courtesy of Ramiro. Lucho inside the box, finds Pedrinho, set back for Musa. Musa towards the back post, inches wide.
That's good little sequence from Dallas. Quick combination play. Ends with Lucho. Lucho poking the ball back for Peter Musa. Musa, it's at a tough angle. The ball's a little bit behind him, but he's able to turn. And I'm sorry, it was Pedrinho that poked that ball back for Peter Musa. He just couldn't get himself turned quite enough to tuck the ball into that backside from about 9 or 10 yards along the left.
And there's a sign of life for Dallas since conceding. They're not going to go down without a fight here. Viaga wins the header from the goal kick straight out of play.
A lot of spirit from the home team there. They thought it was turning into a bad night as they conceded they gave up a 2-goal lead.
Patrickson, straight ball over the top, just way over hit. For the run of Logan Farrington's behind for a goal kick.
You know, Delgado, since he's come into the match, hasn't had anything near the impact that Pedrinho had as he was introduced. 89th minute now.
And the stat we talked about in the pregame, 36-9 for Cincinnati under Pat Noonan in games decided by 1 goal. By far the best record in the league in that span. Acosta has it poked away for a Dallas throw, which he will take into the feet of Musa. And Musa caught the bottom of the foot there of Wobodo. Something you regularly see given as a yellow card. Not this time. And Evander, standing too close, blocked the free kick. Something else that you regularly see given as a yellow card, not given. And Dallas will get another chance at it. As we're into the 90th minute now, waiting to see how much more time we'll play.
I don't want to be that guy, but you just wonder what the game might look like if VAR had really taken the look they should have at that Hidebe elbow into Musa.
Dallas goes short, work it back to Lucho. Lucho going to send it in towards the back post. The Boubacar challenging for it. Header won by Kai Kamara. Full tilt to get to the ball and puts it out further for a throw. 5 minutes added on at TQL.
Maybe it can be Pedrinho. 27 touches so far, has been so effective.
Receives it here from Musa. Now back to Peter Musa. Lifted in behind for the run of Farrington. He'll get there before it runs out of play. Farrington from the byline into Pedrinho. Robinson clears it high, but not far. Dallas will keep possession here with Ramiro. Ramiro works it ahead to Musa. Back to Ramiro. Now Lucho. Lucho, corner of the 18, into the box now. Pedrinho, poked away by Flores, behind for a corner. Dallas doing well to build pressure here in stoppage time.
Gonna be the fourth corner kick for FC Dallas. It'll be Pedrinho instead of Acosta, so his right footer will swing in.
Goes short and finds Acosta now, corner of the 18. Cuts past Valenzuela, left-footed ball sent in now towards the near post. Header won by Hidebe, and Evander sends it further clear. Pass out near the halfway line. Retrieves it, sends it long. Flicked off the head of Engel, out for a throw near the corner flag. Taken quickly by Farrington. Ramiro out to Patrickson up the right wing. Patrickson, some space here. Bends the cross in towards Ibeagha. Oh, Ibeagha towards the back post. It's 3-3. The Dallas center back snatches a late equalizer here. They've fought all the way back for the second time tonight.
Yeah, stunned silence from the crowd there. Patrickson, Delgado, you know, he hesitated to hit the cross from the right side, and I wondered if the moment had gone, but he was just lining it up. Ibeagha took advantage of some poor marking there, hitting that like a striker, using the pace of the ball, just redirecting it into the backside from about 6 yards. Terrific cross, great goal, big moment.
Getting another look at it now. Ramiro down the line, Patrickson some space to bend this one in, and as unlucky as Dallas were in Seattle for their other center back to rattle the post, this time Ibeagha does well to just tuck it inside that back post and beat Celentano.
Well, as Abubakar had sort of just vacated his center back position and was keeping himself up high, I was just thinking the same thing, Ryan, that Abubakar came so close to scoring late the other day against Seattle. They still got to get this across the finish line.
And Ibeagha wins another header, this time over Kamara defensively. Played half of the 5 minutes added on. 3-3 your score.
It's been a grueling month for FC Dallas. What a big lift this would be.
Barrett swings across in. Abubakar wins it there ahead of Denke. Musa holding off Hidebe. Goes down, nothing given. Ball over the top. Denke is in an offside position. He leaves it. Now Farfan, with the flag belatedly up, is cleared out there by Corey Barrett, who picks up a yellow card.
I think that was maybe for kicking the ball away, which only helps Dallas.
Evander had lifted the ball in towards Denke, who was still in an offside spot. Now he kicked up pretty high there against Farfan.
Yeah, it was a high boot against Marco Farfan. So unless De Oliveira adds on a little bit of time, Dallas has about 15 seconds here.
Steve's forgotten one of the 5 minutes added on, so we've got 1 minute to go.
Math is hard, Ryan. I'm excited. Yeah, you're right. I didn't look at that correctly.
Musa wins the header towards Farrington, flicks it along towards Acosta, headed away by Flores. Musa back towards Moore, launches that one, I thought, off of Denke, but it's going to be a Cincinnati throw.
And no protest for Dallas, so they must have got that one right.
Dallas just need to fully switch on here for these final 40 seconds, plus any extra added time. Make sure they come home with a positive result. It's wide with Corey Baird. Early cross in towards Kamara. Abubakar defending him. Patrickson back helping out, sliding in, concedes the corner. This might be the final action of the evening at TQL Stadium.
Oh, just for a second there, you thought Kamara was lining one up from close range, but there was Delgado to the rescue.
Evander quickly takes the corner in towards the near post towards Kamara. This time Ibeagha with the crucial touch. And Baird, a heavy touch straight out of play, and the impetus may well be gone. Now the final seconds tick down, and Dallas have fought back again against one of the Eastern Conference heavyweights. They've knocked off Miami earlier in the year. They fight back from 2-0 down and 3-2 down to get a late equalizer through Sebastian Ibeagha, and they'll bring a point home from one of the toughest venues in Major League Soccer. 3-3 your final score. FC Dallas coming up with another draw on the road, another huge fight from behind, Steve.
I mean, this is one that feels a lot bigger than just a draw. I mean, not coming from behind just once, but coming from behind twice. There's going to be some happiness in that locker room, even though they're not coming back to Dallas with all 3 points.
Second half goals from Musa, Julio, and a stoppage time equalizer from Sebastian Ibeagha stunned the crowd at TQL. And mean Dallas come home with something once again from their road exploits as they head into a tough matchup at Toyota Stadium against Philly this weekend. They'll have the confidence gained from what was a very inspiring second half performance for FC Dallas. We'll talk about it on the post-game show, but we thank you so much for joining us here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. 3-3 your final from TQL Stadium. Dallas grabs another point on the road.
So, what'd you do this weekend?
Well, just took the Tacoma off-road, deep into the woods, got to this hidden campsite only it could reach.
Nice. I hooked up the boat to the Tundra and hit up the lake. Towed it like a pro. Had the whole lake to ourselves.
Hey, wait, did I mention I went rock climbing too? Uh-huh, yeah, thanks to the Tacoma's crawl control.
Well, sounds like we both had fun weekends.
Mine was better.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are built for all the fun. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Hi everyone, it's Marco Farfan, and you're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas app.
Well, the vibes are very different from the last time we were talking here at the halftime show. Dallas down 2-0 at the break. Fight back in the second half once again against one of the best teams in Major League Soccer, snatching a 3-3 draw at TQL Stadium tonight. I'm Ryan Figert with Steve Davis alongside me. We just got through the action in Cincinnati, Ohio. What a roller coaster of a second half it was. We'll take you through the highlights, get you the stats, and break down what we saw tonight in Ohio here on the postgame show presented by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Also brought to you by Advocare tonight. And the scoring for Cincinnati in the first half through Buka in the 30th minute, Denke in the 42nd minute. Dallas making a halftime adjustment, bringing Pedrinho off the bench, and he was crucial to what was the first goal in the fight back from FC Dallas. Pedro Musa in the 50th minute. Farfan now wide for Julio. A lot of space for Pedrinho in the center circle here. Receives it from Julio. Now head up, looking for Lucho on the far side. Deflects into the path of Shaq Moore on the near side. Shaq Moore at full tilt. Beats Oriano to the ball. Cut back cross towards Musa. Good first touch. Musa roofs it. And Dallas are right back in this game. What a start to the second half. Pedro Musa back on the score sheet. And Dallas now within one. First goal for Pedro Musa since back in April against Atlanta United. He had gone a while, of course, out injured and without a goal. And Steve, that's just a striker's instinct inside the box. A great first touch set up by Shaq Moore and then finds the roof of the net past Celentano.
Well, I tell you what, I'll take the goal a little bit further back. You know, we talked about how Alvis Powell, the right center back for Cincinnati, and a reserve at that, picked up that early yellow card, and how in the first half we don't feel like FC Dallas exploited that side, exploited Alvis Powell, not the fastest guy, having to drag that yellow card around pretty much the entire match. Well, right away, Anderson Julio, as he comes in, switches sides from the right to the left. You know, they take Bernie Kamungo out after the first half, put Pedrinho in, and Pedrinho plays on the right side. But it's Anderson Julio on the left, and we were hoping that he would keep that wide position and really challenge Powell over there, get him isolated, which is exactly what happened right away. A big ball out of the back from Martin Paz in, attempted for Anderson Julio. Julio does exactly what he should, runs onto it, and that's where the whole thing starts as the ball circulates around. It finally does end up on Musa's foot. Moose knows what to do with it. It went right over Celentano's right shoulder. Celentano didn't have a chance to react because Musa hit it with such venom, roof of the net from the corner of the goal area, 1-0.
And that was the start of the Renaissance in the 68th minute. Anderson Julio completed the comeback, making it 2-2. Here's how it sounded. Buka and Yedlin trying to combine up the far side. Farfan intercepts. Musa pokes it wide for Pedrinho. Pedrinho sees two defenders, gets it into Musa. Musa poked ahead for Lucho. Lucho again wide to Pedrinho. Pedrinho sees the early ball to Julio. Julio in behind here, all alone inside the 18. Anderson Julio lifts it past Celentano, and Dallas are back level. Yet another second half resurgence on the road for FC Dallas. And Anderson Julio grabbing his 4th goal of the season in MLS play. He endured a little bit of a difficult week. I mean, he was an early substitute in the game at New York, a halftime substitute for Bernie Kamungo in Seattle. He, looked a little bit out of sorts, but then all of a sudden he pops up on the right side after starting the second half on the left side. And Steve, once that ball from Pedrinho came across, he knew what to do with it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a shame that Pedrinho didn't get an assist on that. He's not going to get an assist because it was too far away, but he had a lot to do with the first goal, as you said. And then that ball from way along, about the midfield stripe, way on the left side, but he just plays the perfect angle, the perfect weight. Anderson Julio is just in so clean. He's definitely onside. I mean, he's onside by a step or two. We saw a quick replay of Pat Noonan, the Cincinnati coach, on the sideline, sort of taking a look at the monitor, trying to figure out, well, was he onside? I mean, offside? How did he get that open? It was just a great ball. Julio just striding in, taking his time. He's got a defender bearing down on him. I think it was Flores was bearing down on him, but he's composed in that moment. Beats Celentano into the corner, and that's the equalizer at 2.
Well, before we get to the next goal, which was from FC Cincinnati, we have to talk about an incident that took place a little bit away from the ball, and it was Pedro Musa getting some contact in the back of the head. Teenage Hadebe, who had recently come on the field, was booked, given a yellow card. And luckily, I think Dallas doesn't lose this game, because if they had, I think they would have had a real complaint about that one and Hadebe not seeing red, especially on the second look, Steve. It was a nasty one.
We just talked about how on the first look, you and I both thought it was pretty innocuous, although it was contact. And Musa had just gotten a yellow card for contact to the head of one of the defenders. So we thought, okay, yellow card, that's fair. Then we saw the second angle on the replay, and we thought, oh, wow, that's pretty vicious. Maybe that should have been a red. Then we saw a third replay from a different angle, and I just have to wonder if Kevin Stott had that replay. If he had seen that one, I'm pretty sure it would have been a red card. I have a suspicion that Kevin Stott in the VAR booth maybe didn't see that particular replay, maybe didn't have that angle accessible, because that was absolutely a red card. It should have been. Hadebe just lifted his right elbow, cocked it, gave it a, it's an MMA, is that legal in MMA? I don't even know
if it is.
It shouldn't be, because it was vicious. And I feel like there's a good chance the disciplinary committee will go back, take a look at that, and suspend Hadebe. But again, that's not going to really hurt Cincinnati, and it's not going to help FC Dallas tonight. But in the end, it didn't crush them, because...
Yeah, in the 86th minute, Valenzuela scores on a broken play, a deflected ball. I think it hits off of Farfan last and ends up in the net. And right there, you felt like maybe the game had slipped away from FC Dallas. They've already fought back from 2 goals down to equalize. And now late in the game, headed towards stoppage time, it's 3-2. But then Ibeagha, the hero, on a late game header to tie things up at 3. Ramiro out to Patrickson up the right wing. Patrickson, some space here. Bends the cross in towards Ibeagha. Oh, Ibeagha! Towards the back post. It's 3-3. The Dallas center back snatches a late equalizer here. They've fought all the way back for the second time tonight. And what a resurgence from FC Dallas tonight. They never say die, and that was particularly on display tonight on the road in Cincinnati, Ohio. A 4th career goal in Major League Soccer for Sebastian Ibeagha. I know he had one against Houston last year. I think this is his 2nd in his career with FC Dallas. And Steve, it was a great header, well set up by Patrickson.
That's a striker's finish, and I just mentioned that Patrickson hadn't really had quite the impact that maybe you'd want to see him have. You didn't call his name a lot, but he put the cross in a perfect spot. I said a while ago that maybe the marking wasn't quite, what Cincinnati wanted it to be, but, on the replay, he's got Miles Robinson pretty close to him. It's just a really good sort of snap header. As the ball curls in from the right side, he's able to direct it, just use the pace of the ball, but you add a little bit more, direct it into that backside, past Celentano. It's a great goal. It's a striker's kind of finish, but it came from a center back, and because of that, FC Dallas, Ryan, this trend of Dallas, it's the story of the season. They just can't get it done at home, but doggone, can they get it done on the road? And I'll tell you, we started the broadcast tonight by saying they did not play badly. They did not play poorly in New York, and they got unlucky not to get the result there in the Open Cup game. I think they played pretty well in Seattle tonight. They played well enough on the road to get the result, and this time they were able to get it across the finish line.
Yeah, I think, when we look back at the season, wherever it goes from here, I think if Dallas can sort of turn these good performances into results from here on out, I think we'll look back at that Ibeagha goal as a huge reason why, even when you're getting these good performances, as long as the results aren't going your way, it's so difficult to maintain the morale, maintain the belief. But when you get those late goals, when you get those big draws and these big stages against the big teams of Major League Soccer, obviously that can be a huge thing psychologically for the team, who are going to host another Supporters Shield frontrunner in Philadelphia on Saturday.
I'm looking right now really quickly at the Western Conference away records. Vancouver right up at the top of the West, probably the best team in Major League Soccer so far this year. They've got 15 points on the road, and I don't see another one that has – Dallas has 13 points on the road, and I don't see another one right now in the West that has 13 points. I haven't really looked at the East. I'll look at it real quick here. I see
for context, Dallas has 4 points at home.
We're not talking about that right now, Ryan. We're talking about the points on the road right now.
It's crazy to see that stark of a contrast. I've never seen a team like this.
No, it is. It's exactly what I said a minute ago. It's just a weird season that way, and that they just can't find ways to get it done at home. But on the road, they are the dogs that Eric Quill wants them to be.
Yeah, it's another point gained from losing positions. I'm looking through the notes now. That's 13 on the season. I mean, first of all, that happens when you've conceded first in 11 out of your 15 games. The majority of those points that you've gained are going to be from losing positions. But, I mean, the fight from this team, particularly in road games, has been remarkable. I think anyone in any situation would have been like, you know what, when you concede that goal to go down 3-2, it's just not our night once again. And, same story that happened in Seattle. It's frustration. It's unlucky. It's the margins going against you. But for them to pick themselves back up and fight for that third goal in particular, I think shows the strength and character of this team. And Steve, before we go any further, we do have to get to the stats of the match, which are brought to you tonight by UMB Bank. And for that, I will turn to you.
Dallas ends up on the bad end of the possession, although it doesn't matter in the final scoreboard. But tonight, Cincinnati 64%. Cincinnati outshoots FC Dallas 20-10. A few more shots on target, 8-5. Cincinnati with 6 corner kicks to FC Dallas's 4. If you believe in XG, it's 2.8 for the home team, 1.6 for the road team, and that's really not that bad for a road total. FC Dallas whistled 15 times on fouls, Cincinnati 8.
I think 1.8 on the road at Cincinnati. I mean, we talked about in the pregame show, their underlying numbers maybe sort of tell the true story of their performances, but the fact is this team has had 10 games now this season. They've won 8 of them, and they've drawn 2. And this was only the second time they've been held at home. I think that is a testament to this Dallas performance, this fight from behind. And it's been the story all season. We're looking at the graph now, the shot chart. The XG per shot for Dallas higher than Cincinnati, and that's been the case really all season. It's been quality and not necessarily always quantity, although both of these teams had good performances in terms of shot numbers in the previous game. But I think it's a good sign that when those moments do pop up, and it's the same thing with crossing. They don't take a lot of crosses, but when they do, they're in the top 3 in the league in terms of cross completion percentage. So if that's something to give you hope in terms of where this team can go from an offensive standpoint.
Well, they certainly completed the cross at the right time, right at the end there.
Absolutely.
Delgado into Ibeagha. Underscoring what you were talking about a second ago as far as really looking at the bigger picture, the 35,000-foot view of this result. Cincinnati was also very good this year in grinding out results in one-goal games because, they came into the match atop near the top of the Eastern Conference, and yet they're only +2 in a goal difference, right? And that tells you they were really good in the close games. And tonight, when they scored that third goal, you thought, well, doggone, there you go. They are good in close games. They scored a goal in the 87th minute, and it looked like FC Dallas was going to fall on the road again, but Dallas shows that they can grind out games on the road as well, and they came very, very close again the other night in Seattle. Just couldn't quite get it across the finish line, but this time they got the point on the road and did get it across the finish line.
Yeah, for anyone listening to the post-game show, maybe on the podcast feed, we mentioned this on the broadcast. Cincinnati, since 2023 under Pat Noonan, 36-9 in games that are decided by 1 goal. That doesn't, of course, include draws. We could get that number pretty easily, but that shows you how good they are at closing out games. 36 wins is 16 more than the team with the second most, and that's Seattle with 20. And so that's what Dallas was able to do in snatching that late equalizer, is upset a team that doesn't get upset in those moments very often. tonight. I want to look now through the starting 11 for Dallas, maybe look at where we saw positive performances and where we saw some frustration, some difficulty, because honestly, all the good work from Dallas really came in the second half. Looking through the 11, the back line, Shaq Moore, Ibeagha, Urugide, Farfan. The big headline for me in the back four is, of course, Ibeagha with the equalizing goal late on, Shaq Moore with an assist, and then the negative side, Urugide going off in the 36th minute with an injury. And luckily Dallas after Saturday has a couple of weeks off before their next game. And, if it's not a long-term injury, maybe he only misses one game, Steve. But it's hard to overstate how crucial he is for Dallas defensively. You're about to host one of the best attacking teams in all of Major League Soccer, and you may be without your best defender.
Well, look, on that second goal for Cincinnati, if you remember the player, it was Sergio Santos, who got put through along the left side. And Urugide is he read the run, he took position, and it just, I said it during the broadcast, Urugide just snuffed that out immediately, turned it into an absolute nothing burger. He has that kind of recovery speed, so even if Dallas plays up a little high, maybe even gets caught up a little high, he can recover. As Sergio Santos got in behind, your first thought is, uh-oh. But then there's Urugide because he read the play, he had the speed. So I'm saying all this because it was very similar to the way Denke got in behind on that same left side. But, Abubakar, Ibeagha, bless their hearts, it was Abubakar that was closest, but they just don't have the speed that Urugide has. That's no fault of theirs. I mean, most defenders don't have that kind of speed, especially center backs. So as Denke got in behind, Urugide wasn't there to erase the danger. Martin Paz comes out, trips Denke, penalty kick, and there's the second goal. So you saw it right there how important he is, and just eliminating danger all over the place, rescuing situations all over the place. And then just there was one moment when he sort of danced his way out of the back and set Dallas off on the attack the other way, so he's good with the ball. And again, this is nothing against Ibeagha and Abubakar, but they're not Osaze Urugide.
And if we could clone him, we'd have 4 of them across the back line. I think 100%. That's how strongly we feel about Osaze and what he's been able to bring to the team this season. Moving forward into midfield, there was 2 other players that are in their first season with FC Dallas, Kayike and Ramiro, that sort of double pivot in this 4-2-3-1, matched up pretty directly against Pavel Buka, who got a goal for Cincinnati, and Wobodo, who's one of the best in the league at winning possession back and sort of an N'Golo Kante type of way, interceptions and tackles all over the field. How do we feel about the engine room? Because Ramiro, aside from the one game that he was suspended, has played every single game from the start for Dallas this season. Kayike, obviously a young player, is coming along pretty well, but Dallas a little bit bereft of options in the absence of Pomykal and Leggett in sort of a holding midfield role. This was kind of what they had to turn to. How do we feel about how the 2 Brazilians held down the midfield? Yeah, a little bit of a mixed bag. Kayike is exactly what I said from him about him when he left a while ago. He had some good moments and he had a couple of bad moments. There was some sloppiness at times with the ball. He's played a lot lately. It's been a grind for everybody. So nothing too big to pick on him for him there. He did create a bad foul, a dangerous situation when he fouled Evander, a tough foul, or he fouled to give Evander a free kick opportunity right outside the penalty area late in the first half. So a little bit of a mixed bag for him. And as far as Ramiro goes, I saw him forward a lot, and in a double pivot, that's the way it should operate. The problem is... That's what we saw with Buka to a great effect for Cincinnati. 100%. Buka was very good today. Same thing in that double pivot with Wobodo. But when Ramiro gets forward, he just can't get – he's just not that fast. He can't get back very fast and recover. And so I always get nervous when I see him in those advanced positions. I wish that it wasn't a true double pivot. We see sometimes where you have 2 holding midfielders, but one is always going to go forward. We saw it with Diego Chara for all those years. Whoever he was paired with, it was the other holding midfielder that went forward. Chara held. I wish I would see that a little bit more with Ramiro's, because he does get caught out of position sometimes in transition. In this game, of course, billed as Lucho against Evander. Lucho going back to Cincinnati. Evander, the man who replaced him, wearing the number 10 for Cincinnati. And ultimately, 6 goals go in. And those 2 MLS All-Stars of the past few seasons, top scorers for their teams, wherever they've been, not on the score sheet tonight. I mean, I think Evander maybe had a little bit more influence around the game and setting up some of the goals in the build-up. But what do we make of the 2 number 10s, coming together for the first time? Well, I just saw a quick replay of Lucho Acosta. It was Lucho Acosta who was fouled
by Elvis Powell early. That's sort of a crazy. Got him high and low all at the same time, Elvis Powell did. So Lucio Acosta did put an imprint on the game that way because Powell took that early yellow card from that. But, yeah, I do think that going back a little bit to Ka'ike and Ramiro, one of the things they did well in their mixed bag was in the first half they sort of kept Evander in their cover shadow so he wasn't able to receive the ball. Certainly wasn't able to receive the ball in dangerous spots, in that pocket between the lines. So that was pretty good on their part. Evander, as the game went on, he just dropped his positions back a little bit more, and he orchestrated the game from there. So, good on him from that. But you'd much rather see him do that than be getting the ball in advanced positions inside the penalty area or making entry passes from deeper positions or from higher positions into the penalty area. So you're right, Evander may be having a little bit more to say about the game in terms of orchestration, but Acosta got on the ball a lot, and he looked like he was about to be dangerous a lot of times, but just couldn't beat that last guy. So maybe not his best night, but I didn't think he was bad either. It was I just say it was a 5 or a 6 from both of them.
Yeah, and I think what unlocked Lucho again in the second half, similar to on the road in Miami, was bringing Pedrinho into the game. He came on, replaced Bernie Kamungo at the halftime break, and it was a very similar script to that Miami game where he immediately came in, got involved, set up the first goal, even if it was massively deflected, to set up Shaq Moore, and then got the true assist for Anderson Julio. And the impact of Pedrinho is not only what he's bringing on the ball and the goals and the assists, now up to 5 total goal contributions on the season, but it's his ability to combine with Lucho Acosta, who clearly feels just so much more comfortable when he has Pedrinho out there sort of drifting in off the wing to combine with.
Yeah, there's that moment that we talked about on the broadcast where Pedrinho's running through, Acosta has a ball inside the penalty area. You can just see that they're both thinking the same thing in that moment, and they just think on the same wavelength that way, and that's so important, when we talk about players sometimes as individuals, but sometimes we also talk about them in combinations, and they're just sort of force multipliers for the other one. One of the things we didn't really talk about yet was how Dallas was so much better. And the first half was a stinker for Dallas. It just wasn't good. It's kind of a bummer to see Uriguide get injured. But second half, Pedrinho coming in. And we'll talk about Pedrinho, but it's really Pedrinho in combination with Lucho Acosta that really created a much better effective second half for FC Dallas.
Yeah, Pedrinho on the season now, 12 appearances, 6 of them from the start, 6 off the bench, 2 goals and 3 assists in just under 600 minutes. Those are really solid numbers. But if you look at his goal contributions, 1 goal came as a starter. That was back against Colorado in the second week of the season. But a goal and 3 assists have been off the bench. I mean, the story for him has been when they've inserted him in the lineup because he's performed so well off the bench, it hasn't been as effective. Versus when he's come off the bench and he's been able to read the game and sort of pop up in pockets when the opponent doesn't expect him. He's been, the best player on the field in multiple games for Dallas when he's come in.
I feel like this is a conversation that people in soccer have had, probably going back 50 years. But there are times when players, for certain teams, maybe not, it's not the player profile all their career, but for certain teams, they're just going to be more effective in the big picture coming off the bench. Sometimes it's a striker who's a super sub that just finds a way to, score late. But sometimes it's a guy like this that really changes the bigger picture of the game. And that's what Pedrinho has done when he comes in. And, I know the guy would like to start. Every soccer player does. Every player in all sports probably does. But you know what? He's just really good coming off the bench as a complete game changer, as a profile changer of the entire match, and it's working for FC Dallas. So I hope that's his role going forward, even though I know he would prefer to start.
Now we're going to talk about Petar Musa, who played all 90 minutes tonight for Dallas. And the first 45, you were keeping track of his touches, just 16 touches in the first 45 minutes. Came out in the second half, got himself a goal, a really well-taken goal. 35 total touches just in the second half alone, over double what he did in the first 45. 11 duels won, 8 duels lost for 19 total duels in a game. And we know he's the target for Dallas, launching it long on these sort of goal kicks and playing out of the back. 5 out of 6 on those aerial duels won. He's allowed the team to get out in that way. I mean, it's hard to overstate his importance to the team since he's come back in, picked up an assist against the Red Bulls, played a little bit sparingly off the bench in Seattle, but now back in playing 90 minutes and looking just that little bit sharper coming back from injury and getting that huge goal to give Dallas belief to go on and make the comeback.
And one of the things we talked about, the reason I told everybody, I put it on Twitter earlier today, that there was reason for optimism tonight, and one of the reasons was Dallas had some key players rested, including Acosta and, as you just said, Petar Musa, because he played the other night, but he only played 30 minutes. And so you thought that those two guys being rested gave you a chance to produce something. They didn't produce anything in the first half, but by the second half, Acosta and Petar Musa, they both played 90 minutes, and in the end, they both have something to say about it, but it's especially Musa. You just cited a bunch of numbers. I'll add to that 4 shots for Petar Musa tonight, including one that really, really mattered.
And I think this is a good time to remind you that MLS All-Star voting is now open. You can head to MLSsoccer.com/vote. Obviously, we're pushing Martin Paz and Petar Musa, who were All-Stars for the team last year. Lucho Acosta, who's been the captain of the All-Star team for the last 2 seasons. Osaze Arguide, who went down injured today, is 100% been playing at the level of an All-Star this year. Help those and their teammates to just vote a full FC Dallas 11. You can head to MLSsoccer.com/vote and help them out there. That will be taking place down in Austin on July 23rd. That voting opened today, and good timing for the likes of Petar Musa, who was so good early in the season. I mean, 2 goals, 2 assists in the opening 2 weeks, and the injury sort of sidelined his, derailed his season as he was sidelined. But now to see him back scoring and assisting, it is huge for Dallas going forward. And now we start to turn our attention to Philadelphia coming up on Saturday. This quick 4 games in 2 weeks. I mean, it has been a grueling stretch, and the scheduling hasn't helped Dallas in the fact that they're playing some of the best teams in the entire league, Seattle, FC Cincinnati, and now Philadelphia, who nobody really expected to be, flying high now at the top of the Eastern Conference, similar to Vancouver in the West. Under a new manager this year, Ty Baribo looks reborn. I mean, this is going to be a big challenge for Dallas, who, again, we talked about the disparity between their home and their road form. This has to get figured out at some point. And if you can get a win against a high-flying Philadelphia team, maybe that's something that can change that narrative.
Well, a while ago I talked about how Dallas, as far as road points, actually what they are right now, I was able to look at all the teams. They're tied for the 4th best road point total in Major League Soccer. That's the good news. Bad news, who's up at the top of that? That'd be Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia right now with 5 road wins. That's more than any team in Major League Soccer.
And they got an 87th and a 92nd minute goal to turn a 1-0 deficit to a 2-1 win at Toronto tonight. They're showing some of that same fight that Dallas shows on the road.
Yeah, and they do have a long flight, and they're going to have to rotate a little bit, but we'll see what happens there. But it's look, it's been a tough month. I mean, 8 games in 29 days. That's just a really, really brutal stretch. And you just talked about it. How the way it came together wasn't the best for FC Dallas. If that Open Cup game had maybe been at home, it would have been a lot better. But as it was, last week they leave for New York. They fly across country to Seattle, fly back across country to Dallas, then into Cincinnati. Man, that's a lot of travel. Now they got to travel again. So we keep saying that I keep saying 2 things. Not a time to feel sorry for yourself. You just got to get on with it, which I think they've done a pretty good job of. And they're playing well enough, I think, to pick up some points. Well enough in New York, well enough in Seattle. They played well enough tonight, and they got the reward for it.
Yeah, bouncing back from a difficult first half to roar back in the second half with 3 goals to knot this one up at 3-3. Dallas grabs a point once again on the road. This time it's at TQL Stadium. Thank you so much for joining us on the post-game show and throughout the broadcast tonight on the FC Dallas Radio Network. For myself, Ryan Figert, for Steve Davis, and our producer and engineer, Barry Walters. We will talk to you again as soon as on Friday for the FC Dallas Agenda, when we will have a special guest. We hope you'll tune in to hear a familiar voice in that one. And then again on the radio network for the matchup with Philadelphia. Pregame coverage starting at 7 o'clock from Toyota Stadium. We will talk to you then as this one ends 3-3. FC Dallas gets a point at FC Cincinnati. Talk to you again soon.
The preceding broadcast has been a presentation of the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa. Enjoy 36 holes of championship golf and catch the biggest